Chapter 1106. Huang Chong gazed at Lu Kuan from afar with a marvelous expression. This was struck by a human's body, not a magic treasure. Could the owner of the body refining pavilion be at deity transformation stage? That's impossible. There's no way that Senior couldn't sense the commotion caused by a deity transformation breakthrough. But the scene of devil essence chi transforming into a fist just now is clearly a manifestation of essence chi. Huang Chong's mind was filled with questions. The scene before him had completely exceeded his understanding. Lu Kuan slowly walked forward, toying with a purple jade bracelet as he endured the throbbing pain from his internal organs. He maintained an indifferent expression and said, "Your junior martial brother is truly bold. He actually dared to ambush Lu. Not only did he deliver a spirit treasure replica, but he also lost his life in vain." As he spoke, a strange magic treasure that resembled a spine appeared in his other hand. It appeared as if he was preparing to attack, but in reality, he was absorbing the devil origin chi stored within to replenish his body's exhaustion. The meteor battle skill was completely different from the one he used to attack the ghost spirit sect. It consumed an astonishing amount of devil origin chi. Before the battle, Lu Kuan had already thought about it. He had to use his most terrifying battle skill to intimidate everyone in one fell swoop. And his most powerful divine ability was the 1 yuan power that he could use after using the devil ape transformation. However, the grand essence power could only be used once. If he wanted to maximize its power, he would have to combine it with the meteor battle skill. Lu Kuan began to accelerate from several hundred kilometers away. At the same time, he used his heavenly Dharma projection to increase his control over devil origin chi. As time passed, the devil origin chi accumulated around his body became denser and denser. It was nearly 4 to 5 times more than the last time he used it. In the end, when he was close to Yuan Fiend Valley, he used the water of true demon stored in his ribs to use the devil ape transformation. He used the power of 1 yuan to transform the thick devil essence chi into an essence chi solid fist and used it to reinforce his physical body outside of the meteorite. Although Lu Kuan had never seen a true deity transformation cultivator in action, he felt that the impact of the meteor battle technique was not inferior to a deity transformation cultivator's divine ability. Other than destroying the great forbidden formation of Seven Fiend Sect, he had also charged into the heart of Essence Fiend Valley and destroyed a large number of profound restrictions. Many of the demonic cultivators that had been brushed by him were directly vaporized. The destruction he had caused was terrifying. Now, Lu Kuan didn't want to hide anymore. He wanted to unleash his most powerful Abijna and show his strength that was comparable to that of a soul formation cultivator to deter others. Even if the other sects of the great Zhou dynasty coveted the body-tempering art, they would have to consider their strength. Now, it seemed that the effect was very good. However, Lu Kuan himself also paid a big price. In addition to the consumption of the water of the true demon, his internal organs were once again injured. Fortunately, he was prepared. In the process of unleashing the meteor battle technique, his life force was gradually transferred to his internal organs along with his demonic energy. The condition of his internal organs was much better than the last time he unleashed the 1 yuan force. However, his life force was greatly depleted and needed time to recover. Huang Chong didn't know that the Abijna just now was the strongest attack that Lu Kuan had been preparing for a long time. From the surface, he couldn't see any signs of injury on the other side. Huang Chong stared at the fallen demon ring and said in a low voice, "Master Lu, there may be a misunderstanding. I only know that Xian's sect's Peng Yuanhua asked junior apprentice brother Shui to help deal with a strong enemy. I didn't know it was you. If Master Lu wants to seek revenge, you should look for Xian's sect first." After a while, the pain in Lu Kuan's internal organs had subsided. He said lightly, "Fellow Taoist Huang, don't worry. The nascent soul stage cultivators of Xian's sect that entered Chu have all been killed by the body refining pavilion. Only you guys from Saint Devil sect are left." While the two were talking, Yu Longfei and the others landed behind Lu Kuan. Countless demonic cultivators also jumped out of the 3 battleships that flew into the Essence Fiend Valley and charged towards the various strategic locations of the 7 Evils sect. Huang Chong looked at the 5 people a few hundred meters away and couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. If the owner of the body refining pavilion was really at the soul formation stage, with his strange physical body cultivation technique, wouldn't his battle prowess be on par with the demon king of the demon race? Even if there was enough demonic energy around, he wouldn't be a match for him. If this person hadn't entered the soul formation stage, he wouldn't be able to break through just by the fact that he was unharmed after falling and had a soul formation level defense. As long as Lu Kuan kept him busy, the other great cultivators would be able to surround and attack him after killing his fellow sect members. No matter which possibility it was, if he fought to the death, he wouldn't be able to survive. Thinking of this, Huang Chong's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. He said in a steady voice, "Fellow junior brothers, the dual Yuan demon formation isn't damaged yet. I've already integrated the demonic intent into it. Together with the demonic energy here, we might be able to fight." As he spoke, his hands flashed with a series of seals. An aura full of demonic energy surged out. Black rings of light circled around his body, as if he was using some kind of powerful secret technique. You guys continue to activate the formation. The 10 or so nascent soul stage cultivators were invigorated. They raised their demonic energy and poured it into the formation again. The gray demonic energy that had been dispersed started to transform back into yellow demonic energy. Seeing this, Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes. When he felt that there was something wrong with the demonic energy here. Now, it seemed that it was the formation in front of him that was causing trouble. My demonic energy has recovered to 60%. I'll kill them all in one go. He snorted coldly. His body flashed as he dashed forward. In the process of sprinting, his flesh and blood changed rapidly. First, his muscles swelled into a giant ball of flesh. Then, his bones grew taller. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a 30 feet tall giant. Thick demonic energy rings of light gathered around his body. The few people behind him also started to move. Yu Longfei's heavenly false sword emitted a bright golden light. Lu Yanjun activated the 2 demonic blood swords with deep auras. 2 types of energy, one yin and one yang, surged out from Su Junwen's body. His aura increased tremendously. In an instant, he rose from the middle nascent soul stage to the late nascent soul stage. A pair of black and white crescent blades intertwined and followed the attacks of the few people. As for Qian Jingshan, a triangular prism appeared on top of his head. It shot out a thick silver light that enveloped everyone's magic treasures. The air distorted. These magic treasures seemed to be covered by some kind of special magic and disappeared into thin air. To Lu Kuan, the distance of 400 to 500 feet was only a matter of 10 breaths. His pillar-like arms stretched forward and his palms closed together to form a giant fist. The demonic energy rings of light were channeled to the front of his fist and fiercely punched forward. The dual origin demonic formation's spiritual light trembled violently. The nascent soul stage cultivators inside continuously formed hand seals. The power of their nascent souls surged wildly to resist this terrifying attack that contained a large amount of demonic energy. Huang Chong felt that the strength of Lu Kuan's attack did not seem to have reached the level of a soul formation stage cultivator. He could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, he had finished casting his spell. The large amount of yellow demonic energy in the forbidden area gathered towards his body. It merged with the black demonic energy rings to form a black and yellow ball of light. This ball of light trembled slightly. Under everyone's shocked gazes, it charged towards the other side of the Jinji. This ball contained thick, fiendish demonic energy. It passed through the Jinji as though it was nothing and sped out of Essence Fiend Valley. Its speed completely exceeded the speed of a late nascent soul stage cultivator. It did not take long for it to rush out of the valley. This Saint Devil sect's Grand Elder actually abandoned his fellow disciples and escaped alone. Boom! While everyone was stunned, a small gap appeared in the defense of the dual-origin demonic formation. It was completely destroyed by Lu Kuan. Immediately after, the spiritual light of several magic treasures appeared beside a middle nascent soul stage demonic cultivator. The power of several nascent soul stage cultivators' personal magic treasures was unleashed. This person did not have any power to resist. Along with his nascent soul, he was drowned in that enormous power. Even the two people who were close to him were instantly severely injured. I'll go chase after Huangcheng. I'll leave this place to you guys, Lu Kuan said. His body quickly shrunk back to his normal state. A hole appeared in the ground. He flew up. Hundreds of silver lights appeared from his body. At the same time, his four limbs moved at an extremely high frequency. He ran in the void. The air was like the earth, giving him strength to walk. The speed he exploded with was even faster than Huangcheng's speed. Seeing Lu Kuan leave, Qian Jingshan and Lu Yanjun waved their hands. Two purple bodies covered in demonic energy appeared in front of them. Their bodies were covered in scales, and they had sharp claws and bone spikes. They were the peak middle stage demonic zombies that they had refined. Roar! The demonic zombies turned into two purple shadows and rushed forward. The remaining four nascent soul stage cultivators all used their offensive techniques to attack the remaining nascent soul stage cultivators of the Saint Devil sect. In an instant, all kinds of magic treasures shone brightly. Enormous spiritual pressure surged in all directions. Chapter 11:07. Huangcheng flew quickly in the sky, his face gloomy. The Saint Devil sect had suffered a great loss in this trip to the Qi Kingdom. All the nascent soul cultivators they brought were probably going to die. Their remaining strength was even weaker than the lower-ranked Devil sect. Damn it! How can there be such a freak in such a remote, immortal realm? Before Huangcheng came to the Chu country, he had paid a great price. He learned from a master of the Great Zhou that all the spirit-severing cultivators in this immortal realm had died. Even the Dragon King outside the Chu country was no longer there. If he knew that Lu Kuan had such terrifying strength, he would not have provoked the body refining pavilion. In the end, he was too confident in the Saint Devil sect's strength. He thought that there would not be any powerful cultivators in this remote place. Thinking of this, Huangcheng's expression changed. Something is wrong. Not long after we took over the Seven Evils sect, we found out a lot of information about the body refining pavilion. But there is little information about the blood refining sect and the yin-yang sect. Huangcheng's expression became worse. Now that he thought about it, the Saint Devil sect had been tricked by someone. Their arrogance was used to lure them into provoking the body refining pavilion. It was either the yin-yang sect or the blood refining sect who did this. But it is useless to think about this now. The Saint Devil sect's loss is irreversible. Only if I can reach the spirit-severing realm can the Saint Devil sect continue to stay in the Great Zhou country. Although I did not reach the spirit-severing realm, I have merged with the devil intent and built a foundation. Before I left, I collected a large amount of devil chi. As long as I find another place with devil chi, I might be able to break through. Although the Yunlu state of the Great Zhou country is vast and has plenty of pure devil chi, there are many devil sects. Once there is a sign of a breakthrough, I am afraid that they will attack me, especially the old guys from the Prime Devil sect. They might even cross over. Other than the Qi Kingdom, the closest devil realm is the northern cold land on the other side of the Broken Nation. Just then, a silver figure appeared at the edge of his divine sense range. It was getting closer and closer. Huangcheng's expression changed. Just what realm is this guy at? His attack power is hovering between a grand cultivator and a deity transformation stage cultivator. It's one thing for his physical defense to be freakishly strong, but why is his speed so fast as well? The divine spirit treasure was left to Junior Marshall's sister Qi to guard the sect. I only have an offensive spirit treasure replica. I'm afraid it won't be able to hurt him. Furthermore, the Devil Fall Ring is a control-type treasure. Its baleful devil chi is limited, so it's not suitable for battle. Thinking of this, Huang Chong's divine sense, which contained the fiend demon true intent, surged. The black and yellow spirit light around his body shrank a little, and the demon yuan chi halo became even more dazzling. His speed increased a bit. The speed of both parties was maintained at the same level. Then, one after the other, they shot towards the north of the state of Qi. Inside Essence Fiend Valley, the sounds of battle lasted for half a day before calming down. 7 Fiend Sage and Old Demon Essence Fiend were long gone. There were less than 10 nascent soul stage cultivators left in the 7 Fiend sect. Under the leadership of Huang, Xiaoyun, and Panyin, only one of the nascent soul stage cultivators of the 3 sects managed to escape. The rest were all killed. The core formation stage cultivators in Essence Fiend Valley couldn't even organize a resistance. Being chased by the cultivators of the 3 sects, there were very few who could escape from Essence Fiend Valley. As for the other low-level cultivators, almost none of them managed to escape. At this moment, in the center of the valley, in the forbidden area of the 7 Fiends sect, the spirit light of the broken restriction was scattered. Qian Jingshan and the other 3 each grabbed an unconscious nascent soul and used the soul-searching technique. After a while, a restriction power surged out of these nascent souls. Their souls and nascent souls collapsed. Qian Jingshan opened his eyes and looked at the fiend demon pool in the center of the forbidden area. He frowned and said, "The Saint Devil Sect's Oath Stone is no small matter. I didn't get much information from the soul-searching technique. That treasure that can help in breaking through to the divine transformation stage seems to be this true demon pool that is mixed with fiend chi and demon chi." Su Junwen nodded and said, "What I found is more or less the same. The Saint Devil Sect used some kind of secret technique to modify the true demon pool and mixed it with fiend chi. The water inside is no longer pure, true demon water. The willpower that Taoist Qian felt before was probably the combination of fiend chi and true demon intent." Yu Longfei said, curiously, "Could it be that the fiend chi attribute willpower can increase the chances of a demonic cultivator breaking through to the divine transformation stage?" What Huang Chong took away in the end seemed to be the essence of this fiend demon pool. Qian Jingshan heard this and combined it with the information he got from the soul-searching technique. He looked disappointed and said, "The treasure that Master Lu said to help in breaking through should be this strange fiend demon pool. It can be used to refine a unique willpower." Obviously, this result had been taken away by Huang Chong. If they knew how to form the fiend demon pool, they might be able to try it. Unfortunately, this was a secret of the Saint Devil Sect and was protected by the Oath Stone. Su Junwen didn't have any regrets about this. She looked at the 20 or so storage bracelets on the ground and laughed. "We have already taken down the 7 Fiends sect. All of their demonic cultivation resources are in these storage bracelets. Just these alone make this trip worthwhile." Hearing her words, the others looked over with burning eyes. Qian Jingshan thought for a while and said to Yu Longfei, "Taoist Yu, why don't we wait for Master Lu to come back and then divide the resources of the 7 Fiends sect?" Yu Longfei waved his hand and said, "Before the Pavilion Master came, he had already ordered us to divide them into 10 portions according to their value. The Body Refining Pavilion will take 4 portions, and the 2 sects will take 3 portions each. What do you two think?" Qian Jingshan and Su Junwen looked surprised. Qian Jingshan smiled bitterly and said, "This battle was all thanks to Master Lu's effort. 30% is a bit too much for us." "I think so too." Yu Longfei smiled and said, "Other than the distribution of the spoils, the Pavilion Master also has a suggestion for the distribution of the Qi Kingdom's resources. He hopes that the 2 sects can work together." Qian Jingshan said seriously, "Brother Yu, please speak." Yu Longfei said, "This operation is the first time that the 3 sects have worked together to fight against the Zhou dynasty's forces. Although the Saint Devil sect's strength has been greatly reduced after this battle, This place of pure devil yuan qi will inevitably be targeted by other devil sects. Why don't the three sects occupy the west, south, and east regions respectively? The three sects will form a triangle in the direction of the Zhou dynasty. The north region will be the buffer zone, and we won't have to fight for it. We can just treat it as the west region and leave it for the rogue cultivators and cultivator families. Hearing this, Su Junwen frowned and said, "Although this is a good idea, if the north region is in chaos, it will be easier for the devil cultivators of the Zhou dynasty to sneak in." Yu Longfei said, "I have also mentioned this to the pavilion master. What the pavilion master means is that the three sects can set up a neutral trading company in the north region. On one hand, we could trade with each other and earn devil stones. On the other hand, we can monitor the movements at the border of Tongtian River. More importantly, the neutral trading company can also attract some devil cultivators to become guest elders of the trading company. The restrictions are much smaller than joining a sect, and we can even gather the experts of small forces. In the future, if the Zhou dynasty devil sects invade again, we will be well prepared." Su Junwen thought about it carefully and felt that such a neutral trading company was also a safeguard for the Yin-Yang sect. He couldn't help but nod and said, "This is a good idea. Master Lu is indeed far-sighted." The blood-refining sect has no objections. Although Qin Jingshan said so, his eyes flashed with worry. He didn't have a problem with the neutral trading company, but the position of the three sects was equivalent to including the blood-refining sect. Lu Kuan's terrifying meteor fall ability echoed in his mind. If the body-refining pavilion had any ideas, the blood-refining sect didn't have the slightest confidence to fight against it. Since the two of you agree, then let's divide the spoils. Chapter 1108. North of the northern province of the state of Qi was a vast and boundless river. It was at least 10,000 kilometers wide and stretched as far as the eye could see. It was as vast and deep as the ocean. This was the famous heavenly stream. The lower reaches of this river were the Dead Sea in the western province of the state of Qi. As for the upper reaches, cultivators didn't know. Some said that it led to the ocean on the other side of the continent, while others said that it led to the distant northern frigid lands. There were many different opinions, but no cultivator went to find the answer. This was because the heavenly stream was filled with all kinds of dangers. Even some nascent soul cultivators couldn't guarantee that they could successfully travel from the northern province of the state of Qi to the state of Zhou on the other side. The spiritual energy in the heavenly stream was mixed. Not only was it filled with demonic qi, but there was also demonic qi and yin qi. Occasionally, there would be spiritual energy storms that were even more terrifying than the chaotic ocean. Many places in the stream were occupied by powerful demonic beasts. These were all ancient beasts. Although they weren't very intelligent, their battle prowess was terrifying. In addition, there were countless small spatial rifts floating in the sky above the stream. They emitted a green glow and were as clear as the stars in the night sky. If cultivators were careful, they wouldn't run into them. However, a strange wind called gentle wind would blow out from these spatial rifts. This wind was different from ordinary wind-type magic. It contained rich spatial energy and was extremely lethal. Normal nascent soul cultivators would be torn to pieces if they were hit by it. If a large amount of gentle wind gathered together to form a storm, even soul formation cultivators would have to flee. Due to the various dangerous places in the heavenly stream, the state of Qi and the state of Zhou were almost completely isolated from each other. They rarely interacted. On this day, two streaks of light appeared on the empty surface of the heavenly stream. Huang Chan's expression was uncertain. In order to maintain such a high speed, he had used up half of his baleful demonic qi. If he used up all of this unique energy, even with the baleful demonic true intent, his chances of breaking through to the soul formation stage would be greatly reduced. His divine sense sensed the silver figure 5 kilometers away. Fear flashed through his eyes. In addition to using the magic treasure in his body, this fellow is also borrowing power from the void. He treats the air as the earth and runs with the strength of his body. Isn't this strange divine ability one of the records of our sex seniors? Even in the ancient devil clan, only the devil generals with amazing aptitudes could comprehend the supernatural powers of the devil kings when they were at level 10. Other than borrowing strength from a void, they could also form a squeezing force field to restrain the nascent soul from a distance. Could it be that the body refining pavilion's techniques were created by imitating the ancient demons? With the assistance of the void, the consumption of his demonic energy is extremely low. If this continues, he'll catch up to me sooner or later. If I can't beat him back, I'll only be exhausted to death. Thinking of this, Huang Chong's eyes flashed with determination. I, Huang Chong, still have 300 years of life. As long as I'm alive, there's hope. He stopped, and the black and yellow halos around his body retracted. A purple-gold blade appeared in front of him. The blade was engraved with fine demonic runes, and it was filled with an extreme demonic energy. Huang Chong muttered, and a series of complicated spells were injected into the blade. At the same time, the true meaning of the terminus demon in his divine sense also poured into the blade. The purple-black demonic yuan qi quickly gathered in the demonic qi around the heaven-reaching river. This treasure was called the discerning demon blade. It was the most precious treasure of the Saint Devil sect, a replica of the demon dragon blade. Although it was much weaker than the real thing, with this blade in hand, Huang Chong could fight against 2 or 3 great cultivators even without the true meaning of the terminus demon. Other than being able to use yuan qi attacks, the discerning demon blade also had a special devouring divine ability. As long as the enemy's cultivation was lower than the caster's, the enemy's spell would be absorbed by the blade. This divine ability could not only absorb the enemy's spell attacks, but also break down defensive shields. It could be said to be both offensive and defensive. Although this devouring divine ability was powerful, Huang Chong knew very well that it was useless against the master of the body refining pavilion. Why would a guy who could smash through the forbidden formation with his physical body need a protective spell? Therefore, what he was using now was not the devouring ability of the discerning devil saber, but a soul attacking ability that the replica had never used before. Under normal circumstances, this technique could only be used with the demon fallen ring, as it required the assistance of the refined will. Huang Chong did not have the fallen devil ring, but he had already refined the fiend devil true intent, which was much more condensed and powerful than the ownerless true devil true intent in the true devil water. Since this person killed Junior Brother Shui, he must have some means to resist the true demonic will. I have to give up all of the baleful demonic true meaning in order to have a chance to severely injure his soul. Lu Kuan had long noticed the other party's movements. He had also sensed the terrifying aura of the divergent fiend's saber. Clearly, it was also a replica numinous treasure. Instead, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He had used his ultimate move and chased after him. At this moment, he only had 30% of his mana left. It was great that his opponent was willing to stop and fight. When Lu Kuan saw that Huang Chong was still in place, he activated the severing fist battle technique and raised his fists. As he flew, he accumulated power and absorbed the surrounding yuan qi of heaven and earth. The spirit qi of the heavenly stream was mixed, but to a body cultivator, as long as their origin energy field was strong, any kind of yuan qi could be used. The surrounding demonic yuan qi and yuan qi of heaven and earth transformed into 2 halos, one black and one white. Under the transfer of his origin energy, the halos appeared above his fists. As he flew, the halos gradually became thicker. To Lu Kuan, a distance of 5 kilometers only took a few seconds. During this period of time, the halos on the divergent fiend saber had also condensed to the extreme. Huang Chong looked at the silver figure a few dozen feet away and stopped his hand seals. The divergent fiend saber trembled slightly and disappeared. Then, as if it had teleported, it appeared in front of Lu Kuan. The extremely condensed yuan qi saber glow slammed into the black and white yuan qi fist. Boom! A terrifying might suddenly erupted, and the surrounding mixed spiritual energy turned into circles of air waves that rolled in all directions. The gray river water below was also squeezed into a semicircular puddle by the invisible pressure. Lu Kuan roared as all the muscles in his body swelled up. They were like small mountains embedded in various parts of his body. His body turned into a deformed monster covered in muscle lumps. Through the transformation of his muscles, his physical strength exploded with the strength of one. For a million pounds, the air behind him was distorted into a blurry curve, as if the void itself was bearing the tremendous impact. Rays of yuan qi spiritual light intertwined and exploded, spreading from his fists to his body. The terrifying yuan qi power instantly ground away a small layer of muscle lumps, turning the surface of his deformed body into a bloody mess. As the greatest power exploded, Lu Kuan felt the demonic saber's power begin to weaken. His expression relaxed slightly. This offensive spirit treasure replica was somewhat different from Peng Yuanhua's dark green ruler. It attacked with a physical body and was more powerful. If he did not use Transcendence World, it would still be difficult for him to block it. But at that moment, a yellow saber shadow shot out from the divergent fiend saber. The source force field on the surface of his body did not seem to be of any defensive use, allowing it to pass through. Soul attack. Just as the thought appeared in Lu Kuan's mind, the saber shadow blasted into his head. However, his knowledge was empty. After a body cultivator entered the bone transformation stage, their soul and consciousness had been transferred from the knowledge to the spinal cord. However, this yellow saber shadow seemed to be able to recognize the aura of the soul. The saber blade turned and rushed towards the spinal cord. In this moment of delay, Lu Kuan had already reacted. He quickly used the ability of the hidden spirit root to hide his soul. The consciousness and soul aura in his body dissipated. Then, he reached out with both hands and grabbed the divergent fiend saber. The demonic qi in his body surged out. The domineering and violent energy rushed in, causing many of the demonic inscriptions to dim. The yellow saber shadow, which was looking around blankly, suddenly collapsed after losing the support of the divergent fiend saber. A murderous intent suddenly spread out from his body. This fiendish demon true intent seemed to have discovered something new, and all of it rushed towards his internal organs. Lu Kuan groaned as if he had been injured. His body staggered, and he spat out a silver mist of blood. Somewhere deep in his internal organs, a murderous intent surged out and fiercely intertwined with the fiend true intent. For a moment, a terrifying intent surged in his body. Huang Chong felt the two terrifying intents and looked surprised. So this guy has already refined the true demonic intent. No wonder he's so abnormal. The two intents are clashing. This is a good chance. Huang Chong looked at the other party's hands that were holding the divergent fiend saber tightly and felt the pressure of the source qi in the air. A black and yellow light condensed outside his body. He hesitated for a moment and felt that it was better to run for his life. At this moment, Lu Kuan suddenly let out a furious roar. The two intents that were originally fighting endlessly seemed to be forcibly suppressed by some kind of force. His bell-sized eyes suddenly opened, emitting a resplendent golden light. The skin near his eye sockets seemed to have been scorched by some kind of high temperature, turning fiery red, and a soul-chilling aura pervaded the air. In the next moment, two golden pillars of light shot out from Lu Kuan's eyes. They were intertwined with the aura of the true demonic intent and the fiend true intent. In the blink of an eye, they bombarded Huang Chong's light. The golden light seemed to ignore the defensive aura and sank into Huang Chong's head. The latter's frightened eyes instantly lost their luster. His soul aura was extinguished, and his body fell straight down. Chapter 1109. Lu Kuan looked at the fallen body of Huang Chong. Suppressing the discomfort in his internal organs and the overdraft of his divine sense, His figure flashed, and a cloud of broken dragon dust sprayed out, wrapping up the corpse and putting it away. After doing all this, he waved his hand, and a flying boat landed on the gray surface of the Skyfall Cascade. Then, he entered the flying boat and sat down cross-legged. He took out spirit stones and demon stones and began to restore the energy in his body. Traces of demon energy gradually fused together in his body. New blood was formed through his bone marrow. Rich and pure blood essence surged towards his internal organs, circulating the power of life and repairing his darkened organs. The lonely boat floated on the silent surface of the Skyfall Cascade for several days. Then, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes, a trace of fear flashing in them. I didn't think that the use of the power of single essence would have such a hidden danger. If it weren't for the appearance of that murderous intent, I fear I wouldn't have known that there was a true demon intent hidden deep within my internal organs. The yellow saber shadow that entered his body was clearly Huang Chang's divine soul attack. After this supernatural ability collapsed, the power of will was a murderous intent that he had never encountered before. It seemed to have some sort of connection with the true demon intent. It rushed straight to his internal organs, triggering the true demon intent. Under the collision of the two powers of will, Lu Kuan's internal organs were once again impacted. Even though he had entered the middle bone transformation realm and his mortal body was powerful, his internal organs were still much weaker than his other body parts. If he allowed these two powers of will to continue to intertwine, he didn't know to what extent his internal organs would be damaged. In this situation, he didn't dare to use the demon ape transformation. In a moment of desperation, he recalled the supernatural ability that he comprehended after fusing with the spiritual stone monkey's bloodline many years ago. Lu Kuan stimulated his blood essence. With the power of his bloodline and his late nascent soul spiritual sense, he forcefully controlled the two powers of will, turning them into a golden light that erupted outwards. Who knew that not only did it relieve the pressure on his internal organs, but it also easily eliminated Huang Chang. However, when he used this supernatural ability, he clearly sensed that there was still a portion of the murderous intent and true demon intent that continued to lurk in his internal organs. Over the past few days, he had been using his life force to nourish his internal organs while searching for them. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find where the two types of will were hiding. Strange, why are they all drilling into the internal organs? Could it be that the internal organs are suitable for this kind of will to be stored, or is there some other reason? Lu Kuan frowned. Now that I think about it, the backlash from the second Yuan force was a little different. Although a lot of life force was stored in my internal organs, the damage to my internal organs was much smaller than the first time. I could still continue fighting. Is it because of the remnants of the true demon will in the internal organs? With the internal organs with the power of will, it makes it easier to use the power of 1 yuan. He then carefully examined the condition of his internal organs and pondered, the internal injuries have barely stabilized, but they haven't completely healed yet. Previously, I consumed 30% of my life force, and my divine sense was greatly damaged. I'll need at least several months to recover. The fact that the true demon will and the fiendish will are able to conceal the internal organs shows that there is a special connection between the will power and the internal organs. However, Lu Kuan showed a worried look. There are different kinds of will hidden in the internal organs. I'm afraid that it will have a certain impact on my future cultivation. The middle stage of bone transformation is through the cultivation of blood. It can be transformed into bones, but the cultivation of life force is closely related to the internal organs. I must find a way to get rid of these two kinds of will. Before I solve this problem, I can't use the power of 1 yuan again. Otherwise, it will only deepen the true demon will in my internal organs. The fiendish will drew out the true demon will from my internal organs, but in the end, it will also hide in my internal organs. I can't find another kind of will power to seduce them. This will only make my internal organs more chaotic. Lu Kuan's eyes became dignified. then the solution is to comprehend the power of will on my own and use this power of will to force it out. Thinking of this, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Wait, if I force out the different kinds of will, then the body cultivator can comprehend the power of will. Can it be combined with the internal organs? The core of immortal cultivators is the nascent soul, and the core of body cultivators is the physical body. Immortal cultivators combine the power of will with the nascent soul to form the power of the primordial spirit. Body cultivators don't have a nascent soul, but the power of will can be combined with the internal organs. Lu Kuan's thoughts suddenly became clear. Now that the world is undergoing fusion, even if traditional immortal cultivators comprehend the power of will on their own, there is no pure heaven and earth yuan qi to fill their bodies. They can only use the pseudo-divinity transformation method, and their divine abilities are limited by the yuan qi of the area. But the body cultivation method that I created is completely different. The Chu and Qi kingdoms have used the power of 1 yuan twice. This means that as long as the physical strength of the body reaches the level of 2 million jin, one can use the source force field to control the yuan qi of heaven and earth and use the yuan qi transformation divine ability. A body cultivator's control of yuan qi is not limited by the area, nor is it limited by the yuan qi attribute. The internal organs will make it easier to use the power of 1 yuan qi. Then the key to breaking through from the late stage of bone transformation to divinity transformation is to comprehend the power of will and fuse it with the internal organs. Lu Kuan combined the several times he used the power of 1 yuan qi and the hidden dangers of the power of will in his internal organs. He had a bold speculation about the high level of body cultivation. He couldn't help but sort it out in his mind. The bone treasure stage uses the bones as the core. The hardest part of the body is cultivated to the extreme, and then through self-refining, every part of the body becomes the same cell origin. This not only generates the source of a body, but also the foundation of bone transformation stage cultivation. The early stage of bone transformation stage focuses on the muscles. Cultivate the muscles to the same level as the bone treasure and assist in the cultivation of the blood and internal organs. The blood concentration increases and can be transformed into muscle fibers. The internal organs are slowly strengthened with the increase of the power of life. At the middle stage of bone transformation stage, the main focus is on the blood. Continue to increase the concentration of the blood until it reaches the level of bone cells. From there, it can be transformed into bones and added to the bone treasure. The internal organs are still tempered by the power of life. At the late stage of bone transformation stage, the bones, muscles, and blood are not only equal in quality, but the blood can also be used as a medium to add to the other two. Even without the help of the silver dragon meteorite, a body cultivator at this stage can rely on the support of the blood to display transcendence world. The first two stages of bone transformation stage use the bone treasure as the core. Through the foundation of the body's origin, the powerful bone treasure material is transferred to the muscles and blood. The body of the late stage of bone transformation stage, purely in terms of external strength, has already reached the extreme. With the combination of muscles, bones, and blood, the maximum strength can reach is 1,990,000 genes. Lu Kuan's thoughts paused as he pondered the role of the internal organs in the body. For mortals, the main cause of aging is the aging of the internal organs. No matter how strong a body cultivator's body is, they are still part of the human race. This principle applies to mortals. Then, does the breakthrough of the internal organs mean a change in the level of life? When a body cultivator reaches the late stage of bone transformation stage, not only can the internal organs store more power of life, but the strength of the material far surpasses the previous stage. Cultivation must not be separated from several elements, such as the power of life, the origin energy of heaven and earth, the power of will. The final transformation is likely to be the combination of the will and the internal organs, breaking through the limits of the body and controlling the power of 1 yuan. The more Lu Kuan thought about it, the more he felt that this direction was correct. He felt that he had found the direction of the spirit transformation stage. Suddenly, he felt refreshed, and his overdrawn divine sense was much more comfortable. As for how to comprehend the power of will and how to improve the internal organs at the late stage of bone transformation stage, that was not something he needed to study right now. Lu Kuan waved his hand and put away the spirit boat. He glanced at the north side of the heavenly stream and muttered, "The hidden dangers of my internal organs cannot be resolved in a short time. Once my injuries are healed, I will go to the Great Zhou dynasty to find trouble with the Supreme Profound Sect." Then he turned into a silver light and flew back to the state of Qi. Chapter 11:10. In a certain market in the Western Prefecture, 5 nascent soul cultivators were sitting in a pavilion. They had gathered together because of the sacred poison sect. Now that they were gathered together again, all of them had shocked expressions on their faces as they listened to the words of a plump old man. A young woman in red murmured, "Brother Yu, your news is too frightening. The Seven Fiends sect, a large demonic sect with tens of thousands of years of history, was destroyed in a day." The plump old man smiled bitterly. That was the alliance of the 3 major sections: the Body Refining Pavilion, the Blood Refining Sect, and the Yin-Yang sect. None of them were weaker than the Seven Fiends sect. They could easily crush them. A thin man beside him said, "Back then it was the West Continent, North Continent, and East Continent that attacked the Blood Refining sect, but lasted for so many years." The plump old man said slowly, "The battle of the Seven Fiends sect this time is different. It is said that the master of the Body Refining Pavilion displayed terrifying strength comparable to a soul formation cultivator. He used his great ability to destroy all the forbidden formations and restrictions in the Essence Fiend Valley. If such a powerful cultivator participated in the war 100 years ago, it would have ended long ago." Everyone else gasped when they heard this. A single person was able to destroy the forbidden formations of a large demonic sect. That was too terrifying. The master of the Body Refining Pavilion is so powerful, comparable to a soul formation cultivator. "This is," the plump old man said with a serious expression. "The cultivators of the 2 demonic sects saw it with their own eyes. It should be true. With Master Lu's strength, he could probably kill us early-stage nascent soul cultivators with a wave of his hand." The young woman in red said with some lingering fear, "Fortunately, the method we discussed last time was to befriend the Sacred Poison Sect. No, the Poison Refining Pavilion. Otherwise, if we angered the Body Refining Pavilion, we would be in trouble." When the fat old man heard this, he let out a sigh and said, "Because of our friendly behavior, not long ago, Dude Taoist of the Poison Refining Pavilion contacted me and informed me of a piece of news in advance. For our sect and family, this is a great opportunity." Seeing that everyone was looking at him, the chubby old man said seriously, "Today, I've gathered all of you here for this matter. I believe that it won't be long before the 3 great sects announce it to the public. Although they have destroyed the Seven Fiends sect, they will not seize the resources of the northern state, nor will they invade the northern state. They will leave the northern state to the rogue cultivators, small sects, and families of the state of Qi. As for the Poison Refining Pavilion, it will occupy the entire Western Prefecture in the coming days. Together with the Blood Refining Sect and the Yin-Yang sect, they will become the new major power in the state of Qi." The expressions of the others changed. This news was too important. It could be said that it was closely related to them. "Are you serious? Did fellow Taoists tell you? It shouldn't be wrong. Right now, the forces of the northern region are all fleeing. If we enter the northern region earlier, we might be able to occupy a better grotto heaven." The chubby old man continued. "Other than that, the 3 major sects will jointly establish a chamber of commerce in the northern region. As a neutral force, each sect will arrange for a nascent soul cultivator to oversee it. Furthermore, this Chamber of Commerce will also recruit guest elders." Chamber of Commerce? Neutral force? The people present were all old monsters who had lived for hundreds of years. After some simple thought, they understood that this chamber of commerce was equivalent to the eyes of the three major sections. While monitoring the forces of the northern state, they could also earn a large amount of demon stones. However, this was not a bad thing. In the past, the relationships between the forces of the Western Prefecture were complicated. Just like the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, if it had not been exposed many years ago, no one would have known that it was a force of the blood-refining sect. Among the 5 major sects and 3 clans, the Sacred Poison sect belonged to the Body-Refining Pavilion. The other major families also leaned towards the 7 Fiends sect. On the surface, the Western Prefecture belonged to the Rogue Cultivators. However, in reality, the resources were still occupied by the major sections. According to the words of the fat old man, this neutral chamber of commerce was equivalent to the 3 great sects putting themselves out in the open and recruiting guests. This was clearly a friendly attitude. This meant that the environment of the northern state would be countless times better than that of the western state. The various small forces would have more abundant resources. Seeing the changes in everyone's expressions, the chubby old man smiled and said, "I suggest that the few of you join forces and strike first to gain the upper hand. We will first occupy an excellent demonic spirit vein." Hearing this, the thin man raised his eyebrows and said, "Brother you, do you mean that the Yu clan seems to have other plans?" The chubby old man nodded and said, "You should know that the Yu clan's cultivators are not good at fighting. However, they are quite proficient in running markets and gathering information. I have already communicated with fellow Daoist, I will join the Chamber of Commerce as a guest elder." The others were slightly stunned, but they were not too surprised. If they were in the old man's position, they would have done the same. However, their sects and clans were different. They relied on the resources they occupied to develop. The red-clothed young woman cupped her hands and said, "We will definitely join forces. However, we have no clue as to how to seize the territory of the northern state. I wonder if Brother Yu has any ideas." The chubby old man smiled and said, "I do have some ideas about this." Then the crowd began to discuss. However, these people did not know that other than them, there were many other idle forces in the state of Qi who had also received the news. They were all eager to seize a better place to live in the brand new northern state. In the state of Wei, at the back of the Cloud Ridge Mountain, there was a special building. There were hundreds of houses densely built here. Each house was only a few dozen feet in size. A special array enveloped this place, and rich cold yin energy was transmitted to each house. After Lu Kuan accepted Li Qianfeng as his disciple, he discovered that the speed of cultivating the Vajra esoteric art would increase by a lot after being cleansed by the cold yin energy. Therefore, all the mortal warriors who had just joined the warriors' holy city would come here to soak in the cold yin energy for a period of time. North of this building was a small valley with a radius of about 10 miles. The rich cold yin energy came from the cave in the middle of the valley. Below the cave was a vast space of 1,000 feet. The ground and rock walls were covered with colorful rocks. Some places even had coral-like vegetation. These were the spirit-swallowing worms that Lu Kuan had killed. After they died, their corpses were like rocks. It was impossible to tell that they were insects with limbs at all. However, there was one spirit-swallowing worm that only had a round mouth full of sharp teeth left. The rest of its body had been eaten clean. 13 tiger-sized, muscular gray ants nested on the incomplete corpse. Their bodies emitted a unique aura that seemed to be a mixture of demonic power and cold yin energy. This energy fluctuated around the 5th rank. Lu Kuan carefully observed these ferocious ants. With a strange expression, he said, "In other words, after these mutated flying ants absorb your blood, they began to devour the worm corpses?" Sure, Enur hesitated for a moment before saying, "Enur thinks that this might be related to the netherworm's sacred artifact that the pavilion master gave me." Lu Kuan was slightly taken aback. Netherworm sacred artifact? Sure, Enur's red lips parted, and she spat out an octagonal crystal. She tilted her head and said, "Originally, this netherworm's sacred artifact was in Enur's body. It didn't seem to have much effect on cultivation. She had a strange expression as she said, "However, the pavilion master gave me too much essence blood last time. After refining it, Einer's body felt full. It was like a mortal who had eaten too much." At this time, the netherworm sacred artifact suddenly moved. It emitted a special light that entered the corpse core. It immediately refined the pavilion master's essence blood. The energy it spat out seemed different from before. After this energy was absorbed by Einer's body, there was a special change. Einer's silver-armored corpse body used to be able to absorb spirit chi and convert it into cold Ein energy through the corpse core. Now it can even absorb demonic chi. Those mutated flying ants seemed to have sensed Einer's change. Their minds were filled with desire. Einer fed them the blood in Einer's body. As a result, these little fellows became even more excited and rushed towards the weakest spirit-swallowing worm. After devouring the worm corpses, they fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 11:11. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand and put the 8-sided white crystal into his palm. The two powerful netherbugs had gone through a lot of trouble to sneak into the Yuan secret realm for this item. He had learned from the mother bug in the devouring devil swamp that the biggest function of this netherbug sacred relic was to convert energy. For those purebred netherbugs that still existed in this world, they could rely on it to absorb the spiritual chi of the immortal realm. Its function was similar to the true demon water to the demon clan. Moreover, this item had the function of isolating and purifying the true demon intent. He had not studied the purification function, but he had used it to isolate the true demon intent to help the treasure bone stage body cultivators cultivate the blood demon force. This kind of usage was a bit wasteful. Its real use should be on the netherbugs. Zombies were a species that combined the corpses of immortal cultivators with the Ein chi of the netherbugs. Through the corpse core, they could convert the spiritual chi of heaven and earth into Ein chi to increase their cultivation. Lu Kuan gave the sacred relic to Sure Einer to increase the ratio of spiritual chi to Ein chi. He did not expect that the ratio would not increase, but it would coincidentally allow Sure Einer to absorb the demon chi. Sure Einer's phenomenon was probably unique in the immortal realm. Not to mention the netherbug sacred relic. No other immortal cultivator could feed the silver-armored corpse with essence blood like him. He pondered for a moment, then looked up and said, "Einer, give me some of your blood." Sure Einer nodded. Her red lips trembled slightly, and a ball of light silver blood floated out. Lu Kuan waved his hand and pulled it in front of him. Golden light flashed in his eyes as he carefully observed it. In addition to the corpse chi, this drop of blood also exuded a powerful chi and blood force. It was somewhat similar to his blood, but it had another unique aura of the netherbug sacred relic. Lu Kuan thought and said, "These mutated flying ants were hatched with my essence blood." Later, they swallowed a special kind of royal jelly in the Yuan secret realm. Their bodies are special, and they can absorb both Ein chi and demon force at the same time. I thought their cultivation speed would be much faster, but after so many years, their cultivation has been stuck at the peak of the 4th level. Now that I think about it, I'm afraid that my blood essence blood limited their netherbug bloodline. Your blood not only contains the aura of a holy object, but it has also been refined by a corpse core. It is very compatible with these little guys. The mutated flying ant absorbed your blood and broke through its bloodline limit. However, its body is still lacking, so it instinctively wants to break through by devouring its own kind. Lu Kuan glanced at the 13 sleeping mutated flying ants and then looked at the silver blood in his hand. Suddenly, a strange idea popped into his mind. Spiritual light flashed in front of him, and a jade vial appeared. There was a black liquid surging within the vial, and it was exuding a brutal aura. It was none other than the true demon water. Lu Kuan opened his mouth slightly, and a trace of silver essence blood fused with Sure Einer's blood. Then the blood was sent into the jade bottle. The netherworm's sacred item had the effect of isolating true demonic intent, but when Lu Kuan used this characteristic, he only brought the sacred item close to the true demonic intent. The method of using it was extremely crude. Now that he had sensed the unique aura of a holy object in Serene blood, could it be possible to isolate the true demon wolf through her blood? If that was the case, then he might be able to use Serene's blood to solve the problem of the heterogeneous will in her organs. With this thought in mind, Lu Kuan carefully sensed the movements in the jade vial. It really has an isolating effect. He was delighted. After the blood entered the vial, the true demonic intent seemed to reject it and only surrounded it. Then, Lu Kuan used his own essence blood to control the blood of the silver-armored corpse. He turned it into a small blood net that enveloped a small mass of true demon water. The trace of true demonic intent inside was jumping left and right, as if it wanted to leave the blood net, but it didn't want to come into contact with it. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light, and the silver blood was suddenly retracted. The blood net instantly turned into a silver crystal, and the trace of true demonic intent and the black liquid were forcibly sealed within it. As soon as all this was done, the trace of true demonic intent that was sealed trembled violently. A brutal wolf suddenly erupted, and the silver blood crystal was shattered by an invisible force. Lu Kuan was slightly stunned. He waved his hand and collected the remaining blood. There was less than half of it left, and the aura of the holy object had disappeared. He looked at the jade vial again and found that the true demonic intent inside had also been weakened by a trace. Lu Kuan was overjoyed. The silver-armored corpse's blood, which was mixed with the aura of the holy object, could actually isolate and weaken the true demonic intent. He put away the jade vial and the holy object and quickly said, "Ina, give me 10 more portions of blood." Serene nodded. Other silver-armored corpses had thin blood, but she was different. Just from her supple and moist skin, one could tell that she had plenty of essence blood in her body. A moment later, she spat out a large mass of pale silver blood, which floated in front of Lu Kuan. He opened his mouth slightly and sucked it into his body. Then he sat down cross-legged and began cultivating. Serene tilted her head, a curious look on her face. The pavilion master seemed to be using her blood to cultivate, but this blood was refined from the pavilion master's blood essence. How would it help his powerful body? Lu Kuan's expression was incomparably solemn. Serene's blood was transported through his body, passing through his small blood vessels and entering his internal organs. Serene's blood had the effect of isolating and weakening the true demonic intent. If he circulated her blood into his internal organs, he might be able to force out the strange will hidden within. As time passed, the silver-armored corpse's blood slowly circulated through his internal organs. The moment it entered his liver, 2 inaudible thoughts suddenly trembled and then disappeared, as if it was just an illusion. In the liver, Lu Kuan was overjoyed. He focused the blood flowing through this organ, but after circulating it several times, those thoughts no longer responded. Where did they go? At this mass of blood, his expression changed. At this time, he discovered that after circulating the silver-armored corpse's blood several times, the aura of the nether insect sacred relic had mostly dissipated. Could it be that my blood is too powerful and has invisibly obliterated the strange aura in the silver-armored corpse's blood? Lu Kuan circulated the blood again and found that it was as he thought. After a while, the strange aura would be obliterated by the power of blood essence. This was something he couldn't control. Without using his blood essence to transport it, the silver-armored corpse's blood simply couldn't enter his internal organs. He slowly stood up and thought for a moment. You should be on the verge of a breakthrough, right? Serene was stunned. Yes, Pavilion Master, but the silver-armored corpse's breakthrough requires swallowing the power of a nascent soul. Before she finished speaking, 2 small nascent souls appeared in Lu Kuan's hands, each of them exuding boundless nascent soul power. Serene's red lips parted slightly. If she wasn't wrong, These two nascent souls were at the level of a great cultivator. Lu Kuan slowly said, your aptitude is amazing. Now that your physique has undergone a new change, you can absorb spiritual energy and demonic energy at the same time. These two nascent souls of great cultivators cultivate magic energy and demonic energy respectively. With their help, you should be able to smoothly break through. Seeing serene happily accept the two nascent souls, Lu Kuan said, immediately start breaking through. After breaking through, there's a hidden danger in my body that I need your help with. Serene's expression was serious. Yes, Pavilion Master. Lu Kuan hesitated. The octagonal crystal of the nether insect sacred relic appeared in front of him again. At the same time, he spat out a mass of silver blood essence. Your physique is different from ordinary silver armor corpses. Take these two things as well. They might be useful. After successfully breaking through, come to the demon abyss to find me. After saying that, his figure flashed and turned into a silver light, leaving the underground cavern. Serene looked at the four things in front of her and couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. No matter which of these things were leaked out, the other silver armor corpses would fight over them. She was a grade 8 silver armor corpse. Using these to help her break through was simply too extravagant. Chapter 11:12. Lu Kuan quickly returned to the cave residence in the Demon Abyss. Originally, he went to Serene to give her the nascent soul of the Tao spiritual master, who knew that he would encounter the changes in the nether worm sacred artifact. Because of its rich blood essence and corpse core, it not only transformed Serene's body, but also gave him a way to solve the hidden injuries in her internal organs. Unfortunately, Serene's blood essence was too weak and could not stay in his body for a long time. He could only try again after she broke through to the 9th level silver-armored corpse. Lu Kuan passed through the broken dragonstone passage and came to the underground cave residence. He lifted his shirt, revealing 8 or 9 storage bracelets hanging from his belt. With a wave of his hand, all kinds of shining items covered most of the ground. Recently, he had been fighting continuously. Although his internal organs were injured due to the use of the Yuan force, his gains were amazing. Lu Kuan looked at the few treasures in front of him. The fallen demon ring, the dark green ruler, and Huang Chang's demonic blade were all magic treasures that imitated spiritual treasures. Their control of the heaven and earth Yuan Qi was far beyond that of ordinary great cultivators. He sighed. It's a pity that the demonic energy of a body cultivator can't activate these 3 imitations. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment. The dark azure ruler was a treasure made of Tai bluestone, and it could activate the void spirit sword Qi with astonishing offensive power. It was most suitable for Yu Longfei to use. Soon, he would be rushing to the Great Zhou dynasty. If this late nascent soul stage sword cultivator had the dark green ruler, he could severely injure or even kill ordinary great cultivators. With such strength, Yu Longfei overseeing the body refining pavilion, he was more at ease. After putting away the 3 imitations, Lu Kuan waved his hand and a small 3-legged cauldron floated in front of him. This cauldron was refined by the Tao sect after many years. Even though it wasn't a replica of a divine spirit treasure, its defensive ability was still extremely close to that of a replica of a divine spirit treasure. As such, it could be considered as a formidable artifact. Lu Kuan stroked the lid of the cauldron. The ethereal cauldron itself was of no use to him. However, the remaining ethereal intent within it was of great reference value to him in comprehending the power of will. The ethereal cauldron turned into a beam of light and disappeared into the storage space in his rib cage. Lu Kuan looked at the 5-foot-long giant axe on the ground with a serious expression. Its surface was wrapped in a layer of gray dragon snapping stone. The power of the void surged, and Lu Kuan grasped the massive weapon in his hand. The Heaven Hammer was completely destroyed, but this demon tool is not only intact, but there's also a strange tool soul inside. I'm afraid it's one of the finest demon tools. He shook it lightly, and the dragon-breaking stone powder floated in the air. His fingers gently stroked the demon patterns on it. He didn't know if it had been damaged by demon energy or for some other reason, but the demon tool, which used to be full of spirituality, had now become lifeless. Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and carefully probed it with his divine sense. After a while, a strange expression appeared on his face. Just like the heaven hammer, there was no consciousness inside. The true power of this demon tool is definitely not weaker than that of a real divine spirit treasure. Lu Kuan recalled that when he was undergoing the tribulation, he had relied on the heaven hammer to offset a lot of the power of the tribulation. With his current knowledge, he understood that it was the essence transformation divine sense. According to the experience of the tribulation, the body of the devil ape transformation can activate the demon tool, but after using it, the internal patterns will probably be damaged. Immortal cultivators can refine divine spirit treasures, and the demon tool of the devil race also has the power of essence transformation. Why can't a body cultivator's battle treasure become a treasure of this level? The most powerful thing about divine spirit treasures and replica spirit treasures is that they can control the essence chi of heaven and earth with the help of magic treasures. This demon tool has to be preserved well for future research. Battle treasures are refined with reference to the body of a body cultivator. I am now at the middle stage of bone transformation, and the power of 1 yuan is still far away. I'm afraid it will be difficult to research a divine spirit treasure, but I can try the level of replica spirit treasures. I have a lot of replica spirit treasures, but the refining method of this kind of top treasure is not available in the Yang clan. It seems that I can only find a way to collect it when I go to the Greyjoy dynasty. With the refining method, I can study the upgrading of battle treasures. The idea flashed through Lu Kuan's mind. He looked at the giant axe with a headache. If this top demon tool could only be studied and not used, it would be too wasteful. Maybe there are other ways. After the devil ape transformation, in addition to the demon ability, there's only the power of the bloodline and the true demon will. Lu Kuan hesitated. He took out the jade bottle containing the water of the true demon and swallowed it. The incomparably pure blood essence in his body surged out, and the two collided in his chest in a unique way. As the terrifying power of the bloodline surged out, Lu Kuan frowned. His body trembled slightly, and a special energy rushed to his right arm that held the giant axe. His arm quickly swelled, and the hair on the surface stood up, turning into black hair. The palm lines on his palm also thickened, turning into the arm of the devil ape. After using the devil ape transformation many times, in addition to the enhancement of his body's cultivation, Lu Kuan was able to suppress the supernatural power changes and transfer the power of the bloodline to his arm. However, because the power of the bloodline was transferred, the power of the body did not change. The phenomenon on his arm was only affected by the power of the bloodline. Clang, a crisp metallic sound emerged from the giant axe, and the strange soul that had disappeared before appeared again, as if it was cheering. Lu Kuan's bloodline energy, which was mixed with the will of the true devil, was quickly absorbed. The purple gold axe released an astonishing aura, and the nearby dense devil chi suddenly became incomparably excited, circling around. However, after the purple gold demonic axe absorbed a part of the bloodline energy, it only released its momentum without any further action. Not to mention the Yuan Qi manifestation, it didn't even attract the demon Yuan Qi. On the other hand, the soul kept jumping, wanting to enter Lu Kuan's body, but it was afraid of something. Suddenly, Lu Kuan's expression changed. A light flashed in front of him, and a jade bottle appeared. The lid of the bottle was opened, and the phantom of a white bear rushed out. It was the soul of the 8th gray demon bear that he had once killed. Wrapped in the power of the void, the demon's soul was pulled over. As soon as it approached the purple gold demonic axe, a suction force came from inside and sucked the demon's soul in. In the next moment, Lu Kuan's face lit up with joy. The power of the bloodline surged, and a large amount of demon yuan qi gathered in the purple-gold demonic axe. A bright purple-gold yuan qi blade appeared outside the demonic axe. However, Lu Kuan's hand shook, and the bloodline power returned to his body. However, the demonic axe's light became even more dazzling. After the soul will absorb the demon's soul, it became extremely excited, as if it wanted to erupt with its power. Lu Kuan coldly snorted, and a violent surge of demon energy landed on the handle, as if it would rush in the next moment. The soul was startled and immediately calmed down. The demonic axe's aura also calmed down. You'd better be obedient. Otherwise, Lu can destroy you in a moment. It was unknown whether or not it understood Lu Kuan's words, but the soul will hit itself again. Unlike before, Lu Kuan's divine sense could sense its existence. Lu Kuan waved his hand, and the dragon-breaking stone powder surged out, wrapping the purple-gold demonic axe again. After using the demonic ape transformation, the power of the bloodline is that of a pure long-armed demon ape. It's probably similar to the demon race's bloodline. Combined with the soul will, it has reached the basic level of activating the demonic weapon. This demonic weapon has an artifact spirit, and it can draw demon yuan qi on its own. However, it requires a powerful soul sacrifice. The reason it could possess the demonic corpse for such a long time should be because of Shui Tianyu and Peng Yuanhua's soul strength. Although the artifact spirit is strange, at least I found a way to use it. I still have some demon souls above grade 8. If I encounter a spirit-severing cultivator with this divine spiritual treasure demonic weapon, I can at least resist. Lu Kuan breathed a sigh of relief. The price of full elemental power was too great, and he couldn't use it casually. If he went to the Great Zhou dynasty like this, he wouldn't have enough confidence. Now that he could use this demonic weapon, he had less to worry about. He put away the purple-gold demonic axe and looked at the remaining items on the ground. The 4 great cultivators had an astonishing collection. In addition to these few top treasures, there were also large amounts of precious materials, demon stones, high-grade spirit stones, and ordinary magic treasures. They were all things that the body refining pavilion needed. With the expansion of the sect's territory, all kinds of forbidden formations, cultivation areas, and 5 elements restrictions required large amounts of materials and spirit stones to support them. It could be said that the body refining pavilion had replenished a wave of blood. As for the remaining pills, they were useless to body cultivators. There were also the jade slips that recorded cultivation methods and secret arts that weren't worth studying. Lu Kuan used a few storage bracelets to put away these useless things. He planned to give them to Huang Xiaoyun to be disposed of through the newly established Chamber of Commerce. Following a flash of spiritual light, only 2 gray corpses were left on the ground. They were the 2 demon corpses from the Demon Island. He had been busy fighting and didn't have time to carefully examine them. Lu Kuan's void power surged, and the Dragonbreaker stone powder separated. He came to the demon corpse that only had half of its body left and looked inside through the wound on its waist. There was a layer of purple light flashing inside, giving the impression that it had died not long ago. With this kind of foreign body, my spiritual sense can only see the surface. He opened his mouth, and a ball of silver blood flew out, turning into a silver blood mist and surging into the wound. Then he closed his eyes and carefully sensed. Chapter 11:13. The ancestor of body cultivators is asking for leave again. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 11:14. Qi Kingdom's West Province, Demon Dragon Mountain. Pan Yin and Du were floating above a mountain. Rather than calling it a mountain, it was more accurate to call a sinkhole in the mountain. This place was filled with the remnant power of the restriction, and the flat ground exuded a layer of deep yellow spirit light. Not long ago, with the help of the Star Moon Pavilion's Array Master, they broke most of the restrictions in the true demon pool. Suddenly, There was a chain reaction everywhere in the Demon Dragon Mountain. Many mountains collapsed, revealing many hidden restrictions. Pan Yin carefully sensed with his divine sense and slowly descended. When his feet stepped on the ground, he suddenly felt his body sink. The gravity had increased several times. This strength was nothing to a bone transformation realm body cultivator. Instead, he looked happy and said, "The gravity has increased. This should be one of the sources of the Xianhuang Qi. Duan, let's go down together." Duan hesitated and said, "Senior apprentice Brother Pan, the thicker the Xianhuang Qi, the greater the gravity." According to the judgment of the Star Moon Pavilion disciples, the gravity in the depths of the Demon Dragon Mountain is probably more than 1,000 times. With my body, Pan Yin gestured with his hand and said, "With your small body, as long as you lie on my back, you will be in the range of the source force field. 1,000 times gravity is only 100,000 pounds. The source force field can easily resist it. Besides, without the help of your nascent soul, I can't use the advanced Earth Escape Talisman. The rocks here have been contaminated by the Xianhuang Qi. The degree of toughness is no less than the Broken Dragon Stone. Only the Earth Escape technique can pass through. If Master is here, he can break through. But with my strength, I'm afraid I can't dig more than 100 feet." Duan looked at Pan Yan's body, at the 2 feet radius of the distorted force field. He hesitated for a moment before nodding. He knew that after a body cultivator entered the bone transformation stage, they could only use some foundation establishment level spells, not to mention high-level spells. Therefore, he flew onto Pan Yan's thick back. The 2-foot-wide source force field wrapped around his body. Then, an advanced talisman appeared in his hand. The power of the nascent soul surged, and a rich earth attribute aura wrapped around the two of them. A yellow light flashed, and they disappeared. The black and yellow qi was extremely rare in the immortal cultivation world. It could only be produced in special earth veins. For those who practiced earth attribute cultivation methods, the black and yellow qi was an extremely precious treasure. However, they would only collect some in the periphery. It was very difficult for them to go deeper. The thicker the special, spiritual qi, the stronger the gravity. Only a few legendary Earth Tao Divine abilities could resist this kind of gravity. Pan Yin and Duan went down not to collect the black and yellow qi, but to find the source of the strange poison in the true devil pool. After a period of research, Duan found that the value of this poison was extremely high. If he refined it into his 100 poison force, it could even increase his poison cultivation. Moreover, it had a special property of reconciling and dissolving other poisons. With the augmentation of the poison-tempering Pavilion Saint poisons, it was possible to forge an even more potent poison. However, the forging method required a large number of materials. Although the Saint poisons were powerful, their lethality was at the early nascent soul stage. It was already quite difficult for them to face the rich magic power of a mid-nascent soul stage cultivator, let alone a great cultivator. Not long ago, several Saint poisons were able to kill the nascent soul stage cultivators of the 3 demonic Tao clans. The main reason was that they cooperated with the great 5 elements force field, which produced a terrifying lethality. If he could obtain a large amount of this special poison, or if he knew its source, not only would it greatly improve Du An's Tao of poison refinement. If he refined a terrifying poison that could threaten a great cultivator, coupled with the great 5 elements force field, even a late nascent soul stage cultivator would be doomed. Layers of dark yellow rocks flashed around the two. The black and yellow qi was an extreme earth attribute qi. Pan Yan's physique was very sensitive to it and constantly adjusted the direction. As the two went deeper, the gravity attached to their bodies became stronger and stronger. With the protection of the origin force field, Duan didn't feel the slightest discomfort. The color of the nearby rocks has changed. The qi on them, is it that kind of poison? Pan Yin saw that the nearby rocks had turned gray and couldn't help but ask. Duan's eyes flashed with excitement. That's right, the rocks here have been contaminated by the poison. it can be seen that the source of the poison is the source of the black and yellow qi. Pan Yin was just about to say something when his expression suddenly became joyful. There seems to be a cave up ahead. After speeding up for a moment, the two's eyes lit up. They landed in a cave that was dozens of feet wide, and an even heavier pressure surged over. The gravity here was almost twice as strong as outside. It was more than 1,000 times stronger than their own gravity. Ordinary grand completion bone treasure body cultivators wouldn't be able to withstand it for too long. What kind of material is this large-scale formation made of? It can actually resist the gravitational field of the black and yellow qi. The poison is so strong. Wait, it's coming from this formation. The most eye-catching thing in the cave was a triangular formation. It looked very different from a normal formation. The rune lines on it were strange and didn't seem to be the means of immortal cultivators. The material that made up the formation was also unusual. The stone gray surface was lined with fine edges and corners. It looked like the scales of some kind of creature. The qi that it exuded was familiar to Pan Yin. Waves of light, gray, poisonous miasma slowly emerged from the center of the triangular formation. Little Do, can you see anything? Is this some kind of poison refining formation that uses the black and yellow qi to refine poison? Duan spread out his spiritual sense and carefully observed the formation. His expression gradually became strange. Although I have never seen this pattern and material, the qi that it exudes has nothing to do with refining poison. It's like a teleportation formation. Pan Yin was slightly stunned. His spiritual sense also spread out and scanned a few times. He felt a trace of obscure spatial fluctuation. You mean the poison is transmitted from another place? Duan hesitated and said, "It should be so. However, I'm not proficient in formations. It's best to let the disciples of the Star Moon Pavilion come and study it." Pan Yin nodded and looked around. Other than the poisonous gas, there's also black and yellow qi gathered here. The ground outside the triangular formation was some kind of dark yellow rock. After gathering black and yellow qi for a long time, it had become a special earth-type material. However, it contained poison. Even if ordinary immortal cultivators obtained it, it would be useless. On the wall behind, there was a layer of dark yellow spiritual light. It seemed similar to the one in the Devil's Pool cave. The black and yellow qi is born from a special earth vein. The wall here has been modified. It's very likely related to the terrain of the demonic Dragon Mountain. Senior Pan, I think it's better to ask the pavilion master to come here personally. Pan Yin pondered and said, "Let's wait until we finish investigating the other places where the black and yellow qi is rich. We'll report to Master." Only Master Source Force Field can bring more disciples of the Star Moon Pavilion here. Let's go. We'll continue to investigate. After saying that, Pan Yin took Du and behind him and flew to the top of the rock with the help of the high-grade earth escape technique. They disappeared. Chapter 11:15. A few days later, in the depths of the demonic Dragon Mountain, a dozen or so core formation stage cultivators formed a formation. They circled around a moderately sized mountain range. Streams of special suction force were sucking in the Xianhuang qi emitted from the mountain range. Under the effect of the formation, these earth attribute treasures were sucked into the eyes of the formation and into the brass cauldron inside. Pan Yin and Duan floated in the air. Behind them were two nascent soul stage cultivators. One of them was Chun Mingzhu, the head of the Star Moon Pavilion, and the other was his junior brother, Ma Yang, who was also proficient in formations. The few of them were looking at a cave with a diameter of 10 feet in the middle of the mountain. Endless rumbling sounds could be heard from within, causing the ground and the nearby mountains to tremble. More and more Xianhuang qi surged out from within. Pan Yin turned to look at the two from the Star Moon Pavilion and clasped his fists. This time, I have to trouble Pavilion Master Chun and fellow Ma to come personally. Chun Mingzhu came back to his senses and replied with a smile. Fellow Pan is too polite. This kind of ancient formation from the Yuan school is very interesting to me and my junior brother. Speaking of this, he paused and said, But that triangular formation seems to be different from the formations of cultivators. It is very mysterious. Unable to resist the temptation, we came directly. Pan Yin asked curiously, "Is that a teleportation formation?" Chun Mingzhu stroked his beard and said, "According to your description, it does have a spatial effect. As for whether it has a teleportation function, I can't confirm it." At this moment, the rumbling sound stopped. An even thicker Xianhuang Qi surged out. The faces of the surrounding core formation stage cultivators changed slightly. They raised their mana, and the surrounding formation surged with an even stronger suction force, continuing to collect these unique earth attribute treasures. A burly figure, following the Xianhuang Qi, jumped out of the hole. It was Lu Kuan. He shook his body and said, "Other than the triangular formation, you should have studied the engraved images of the other restrictions." Chun Mingzhu bowed respectfully. "Yes, Pavilion Master. The restrictions in the cavern below are one with the true devil pool. The 9 underground caverns that fellow Taoist Pan found are the core nodes of the demonic Dragon Mountain. Under the effect of the earth veins and restrictions, the Xianhuang Qi produced here can be continuously sent into the true demon pool. With the help of these special earth attribute treasures, the true demon water can be consumed." Chun Mingzhu's tone of voice was full of reverence. Under their alliance with the Scorching Sun sect and Falling Cloud Valley, they had taken over the Daoyi sect. They controlled half of the Chu country of Chu, and the resources of the sect had greatly increased. If not for the support of this body, refining Pavilion Master behind the scenes, Star Moon Pavilion would not be able to do this at all. Lu Kuan nodded gently. Looking at the gradually thinning qi at the entrance of the cave, he said, "It's almost gone. Let's go down." As he spoke, he waved his hand. Chen Mingzhu and Ma Yang felt an invisible force field enveloping their bodies. There was an invisible force surging inside, but this force did not press inward. Instead, it circulated outside their bodies, twisting the air and forming a vague shield. Pan Yin looked enviously at Lu Kuan's method, turning the power of the void into a force field shield. This kind of exquisite method could only be used by someone with his master's cultivation and aptitude. After he entered this realm, he checked with Huang Xiaoyan from time to time. He found that the range of the passive force field, in addition to affecting the use of combat skills, was also related to the consumption of the power of the void. Simply put, the larger the range of the force field, the less demonic energy consumed by the power of the void. Lu Kuan had a 9-star physique and was in the middle stage of bone transformation realm. The range of the force field was 4 feet, more than twice that of Pan Yin. The power of the void within 10 feet could not only be used as a regular method, but could also be used to use all kinds of exquisite combat skills. Pan Yin secretly simulated the force field shield. He shook his head and carried Duan on his back. He followed behind Lu Kuan and the others and flew to the cave entrance. The call had been completely penetrated, leading straight to the cave at the bottom. A lot of the Xianhuang Qi had leaked out. The gravity inside was greatly reduced. With the protection of the force field shield, Chun Mingzhu and the others could easily enter the cave. Not long after, everyone arrived at a cave that was neither big nor small. Chen Mingzhu and Ma Yang could clearly feel that the force field shield outside their body was slightly deformed. It was obviously under a lot of pressure. The gray poisonous fog emitted from the triangular array in the middle was bent in other directions when it approached the force field shield. Seeing such a defense, they relaxed. They came to the side of the array and studied this strange array while communicating with each other and pondering over its mysteries. At this time, a light flashed in Duan's hand, and a small dark green bottle appeared. A series of seals surged, and the poisonous fog from the triangular array gathered towards the small bottle. After the large amount of Xianhuang Qi was dispersed, the gravity was greatly reduced. Only then could he collect the poisonous fog. Lu Kuan looked at everyone's actions and didn't say anything. Instead, he stretched out his hand, and a ball of Xianhuang Qi was absorbed into it. He sensed this special aura and narrowed his eyes. "Little Yin, Do you think the Xianhuang Qi can be used to temper the body? Pan frowned. When Disciple came here, I also had this idea. But after careful study, I found that although this thing looks similar to spirit energy, it is actually a natural treasure. Body cultivators can absorb the pure earth-type spirit energy into Xianhuang Qi, but this spirit energy doesn't have the unique gravity attribute. Disciple thinks that we can think of a way to integrate the Xianhuang Qi into the bone treasure. This material with the characteristics of a gravitational field, if it enters the bone, it might stack with the origin force field and produce an even more terrifying power. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and said, if we use the gravitational field, the risk is not small. Body cultivators' bodies are very strong. But if the gravitational field of the Xianhuang Qi affects the internal organs, it will cause great harm to the body. He pondered for a moment and said, I think we can use the Xianhuang Qi as a reference to refine magic treasures. These magic treasures use this material in order to increase their weight. The magic treasure of Falling Cloud Valley's Hanfeng uses the Xianhuang Qi. When it is activated, its weight increases greatly. Combined with the Earth Tao Theurgy, its power is not weak. In other words, we can integrate the Xianhuang Qi into the bone treasure and form a special gravitational pattern. After activation, it can increase the weight of the bone greatly. This is the same principle as the silver dragon meteorite iron. However, after activation, the size of the Xianhuang bone does not change, but the additional gravitational force increases. Panyan murmured, I understand. Disciple's physical strength is only around 500,000 gene. Although I can borrow strength from the void and fully exert it, if my weight suddenly increases to 10,000 gene in battle, the impact of the physical body will be even more terrifying. Lu Kuan smiled and said, the Xianhuang Qi is a top-grade material of the earth attribute. Only you are suitable to integrate it. Study it together with the treasure pavilion. If you can integrate the Xianhuang Qi into the bone treasure, you will no longer be lacking in attack power. Panyan clenched his fists. His expression was very excited. Lu Kuan thought of something and said, if you can successfully integrate it, it means that a body cultivator who has completed the bone treasure can also refine it. In this way, the bone treasure that contains the gravitational attribute will not be easily swallowed by the qi and blood when breaking through to the bone transformation stage. Little Yin, collect all the Xianhuang Qi of the Demon Dragon Mountain. Next, focus on the method of integrating it into the bone treasure. Yes, Master. At this moment, the triangular formation in the middle of the cave suddenly changed. It emitted bursts of light, and a thicker gray poisonous fog surged out. Chapter 11:16. Lu Kuan's figure flickered and appeared next to the triangular array, pulling Chun Mingzhu and Duan behind him as he stared ahead with a serious expression. Above the triangular array, an even thicker poisonous fog appeared, and the space around it fluctuated. This was a sign that something was about to be teleported over. A creature with such toxicity was definitely not a simple character. Unexpectedly, after a few breaths, the light above the array was extinguished and a cloud of poisonous fog appeared. Huh, what is this? Lu Kuan stretched out his hand, and void energy surged as an object the size of a watermelon slowly floated out. It was a huge dark gray poison sac shaped like a heart. There were fine black steel spikes on it, and the outer layer was similar to leather. It trembled as if it had a life of its own. Every time it beat, the small mouth of the poison sac would spit out a cloud of gray poison mist. With the appearance of the poison sac, an extremely cold Yin energy appeared in the cave at the same time. Yin energy. Lu Kuan withdrew his source force field and grabbed the poison sac in his hand. A cold aura mixed with a strong toxicity tried to penetrate his palm, but the layer of skin was as firm as a transcendent artifact and could not be penetrated at all. He frowned and said, could this be the poison sac of some kind of underworld insect race creature? Not only is the Yin energy aura incomparably pure, but it is also much denser than Serene. Underworld insect poison sac. When Duin heard Lu Kuan's words, he was surprised and then excited. That grayish, poisonous fog is continuously produced by the poison sac, even if it is a top-tier poisonous insect. The poison sac's toxicity is limited after death. It is impossible for it to continuously produce poison. How to do it? Lu Kuan ignored the excited Duin and turned to ask, Pavilion Master Chun, did you accidentally activate the array just now? Chun Mingzhu pointed to a node in the array and said, when Junior Brother and I were studying it, we discovered that there was a point of conflict between void energy and void energy. So we used a few techniques to test the array, but Kacha, at this moment, everyone clearly heard a crisp sound. Looking in the direction of the sound, they saw that a crack had appeared on the triangular formation where Chun Mingzhu's finger was pointing. A faint white light flashed, and the array in front of them completely shattered. What happened? Could this be a one-time teleportation power? Pavilion Master Chun, did you see anything? Chun Mingzhu was slightly taken aback and said with a wry smile, Pavilion Master, the array patterns on it are completely different from the Immortal Cultivator system, and even more different from the Devil Dao's patterns. Junior Brother, and I have no clue. He paused and said, but from the aura of the teleportation just now, this might be a formation unique to the Nether Bug tribe. Lu Kuan frowned. The Nether insect race? Chun Mingzhu said, formation patterns aside, its material is also like a type of insect shell. It's incomparably sturdy and can withstand strong gravity. When Lu Kuan heard this, he could not help but fall into deep thought. Before the ancient cultivators defeated the demon race, they had already gotten rid of the Nether insect race. From the looks of it, there are probably still many high-level Nether insects left in this world. The Nether insect race wants to stop the purification of the true devil pool. Pan Yin asked curiously, why would the Nether insect race set up this formation? Wouldn't it be better to just put the poison sac here? Lu Kuan looked at the poison sac in his hand and said slowly, the poison sac can't create poison fog out of thin air. From what I know, it's very likely that it needs to absorb a large amount of Yin energy. From the looks of it, the other end of the formation is very likely the Abyss of Death. Abyss of Death? Lu Kuan said in a low voice. The Abyss of Death is surrounded by an ancient seal. It's the only place nearby with dense Yin energy. There are still many Nether insects above grade 8 left in there. There are still 8 places left. We'll go through them one by one. First, we'll destroy the formation of the Abyss of Death. Then, we'll move all the resources that can be used in the demonic Dragon Mountain back to the body refining pavilion. Yes, Pavilion Master. Kingdom of Chi's southern region. Abyss of Death. At the bottom of the abyss, there was a gray nest with countless intersecting tunnels. A large number of strange, flying ants were flying back and forth inside. The buzzing of their wings was dense and terrifying. In the deepest part of the nest, there was an oval cave that was hundreds of feet wide. Inside, there were 2 giant insects, one big and one small. They occupied the entire space. The small one was a fat ant that was close to 10 feet long. Its body was covered with a layer of armor-like scales. The Yin energy on its body was extremely dense. The pressure it emitted was no less than that of a late nascent soul stage cultivator. In front of it was a colorful insect that was hundreds of feet long. Only half of its body was exposed. The latter half was embedded in a wall. On its forehead was a pair of coral-like antennae. At the bottom of the antennae was a pair of flashing small eyes. The antennae of the fat ant trembled. A terrifying divine thought surged out. Spirit Devourer, I've already merged with the remnant consciousness of Lord Hydralisk. Even without the holy item, I have a chance to become an insect king. I won't go with you to the great whirlpool. The colorful insect was the mother insect of the Spirit Devourer insect. It had quietly come to the death abyss. Its clear voice was heard. Nether Ant, this is the hinterland of the immortal cultivators. Even if you can break through, you'll cause a great commotion. If a powerful immortal cultivator comes in, all your efforts will be in vain. The Nether Ant's divine thought was somewhat contemptuous. I've already controlled most of the restrictive power of the Death Abyss. Even if several great immortal cultivators join forces to attack, my children will be able to hold on for a long time. The spirit devourer insect was silent for a moment. Nether ant, you're wrong. Now, there are groups of immortal cultivators who cultivate their physical bodies. Their sect is not far from you. The fat ant's divine thought was stagnant. It suddenly thought of the guy it met in the Yuan secret realm hundreds of years ago. It said slowly, "You've met such an immortal cultivator?" The spirit devourer insect's divine thought surged out. It directly transmitted the image of its tribe being slaughtered by Lu Kuan on the sea. The fat ant's body shook slightly. It muttered, "I've met immortal cultivators who cultivate their physical bodies. Could it be a backup plan left behind by the Yuan sect?" Then it said, "But spirit devourer, there's only one powerful sect nearby. You said that this immortal cultivator sect is not far from me." The spirit devourer insect's divine thought surged. "It seems that you haven't devoured immortal cultivators for a long time. You don't know about the outside world." As it spoke, its antennae trembled. A few memories were transmitted. They were the memories it had searched the souls of the immortal cultivators nearby. The fat ant silently accepted the information. It recalled the deafening roar many years ago. Its divine thought trembled. The body refining pavilion actually occupies the entire Wei nation. No wonder the aura I sensed before was in the death abyss. It turns out that the person is in the Wei nation. The spirit devourer insect's divine thought asked curiously, "What aura, Wei nation?" The fat ant said slowly, "Spirit devourer, the sacred relic you're looking for is in the hands of the body refining pavilion." The spirit devourer insect's huge head nodded slightly. "I know. This nascent soul realm body cultivator used the aura of the sacred relic to lure me. Our spirit devourer insect colony can't do anything to a body cultivator. That person's physical body is as strong as the insect king." Think about it, Nether Ant. If you attract the attention of the body refining pavilion, just 2 or 3 of them will be enough to completely break through the death abyss. The Nether Ant's divine thought was full of complex emotions. Damn it, if they had completely invaded this world back then, even if there were immortal cultivators with strong physical bodies, the spirit devourer insect said, "I'm afraid we're the only high-level nether insects left in this world. We have to be careful. If we go to the Great Whirlpool, not only will there be rich in energy, there are also various restrictions protecting it. It's the best place for us to break through the Insect King level. The Outer Sea Dragon King is already dead. The soul formation cultivators in this area have also fallen. As long as we stay away from these body-refining fellows, with our strength, we don't have to fear other immortal cultivators at all. Now that the body-refining pavilion has expanded to the West Prefecture of the Qi Nation, if the South Prefecture falls into their hands in the future, it's only a matter of time before they clean up the Death Abyss." The Nether Ant hesitated. "Spirit Devourer, let me think about it." At this moment, the ground under their feet suddenly trembled. Rays of spiritual light appeared on the surrounding walls. The restrictions of the entire Death Abyss flickered slightly. Chapter 11:17. What's going on? The Nether Ant's immense divine sense surged in all directions, following the changes in the restriction, and quickly found the source. Its antennae swayed, and it was shocked. The poison sac left by Lord Hydralisk is gone. That thing has already fused with the restriction power here. How could it disappear? In a cave on a cliff in the abyss, there were remnants of gray, poisonous fog and dark yellow aura. A strange formation was carved on the ground, and in the middle was a small circular groove that was empty. A moment later, the remaining aura in the cave was absorbed by the restriction around it. The restriction of the Death Abyss shook for a while and then stopped. The spiritual light dimmed a little, as if some change had occurred. The Spirit Devourer Queen asked, "Nether Ant, what happened?" The fat ant's antennae trembled, and it muttered, "Someone destroyed Lord Hydralisk's formation." Formation? Isn't the restriction here left behind by the ancient cultivators? What does it have to do with Hydralisk? The nether ant's jaws opened and closed. Originally, the restriction of the Death Abyss was not under the control of us nether insects. Later, with the help of a demon, Lord Hydralisk attracted the chi of Xianhuang from a secret place in the Qi Kingdom. Together with its own poison, it infiltrated the restriction of the Abyss. This allowed the nether insect bloodline to control the restriction here to a certain extent and resist the invasion of cultivators from the outside world. At this point, the nether ant's divine sense fluctuated. Wait, Lord Hydralisk attracted the chi of Xianhuang at 9 locations. Now that one has been destroyed, the other locations, as if confirming its thoughts, the restriction of the Abyss, which had been quiet, began to shake again. Under its sensing, the poison sac at another node of the formation disappeared. Someone has sneaked into the source of the chi of Xianhuang. According to Lord Hydralisk's remnant memories, that place has nearly 1,000 times the gravity. It's impossible for cultivators to sneak into that place. Could it be the Spirit Devourer Queen reacted at the same time? A hint of undetectable joy flashed in the depths of its small eyes. It must be someone from the body refining pavilion. Only those with abnormal bodies can ignore this gravity. Nether ant, since the body refining pavilion has discovered the Hydralisk's layout, you might have noticed the Death's Abyss. Follow me to the great maelstrom. As long as we work together to break a few barriers in the huge whirlpool, we will be able to bathe in the light of the holy item, and our chances of breaking through to the Insect King level will be greatly increased. The antennae of the nether ant wriggled, seeming to have sunk into hesitation. The spirit-devouring mother bug continued. We are the only high-level nether bugs left in this realm. Only by entering the Bug King realm will we have a chance to contact our race. When the nether ant heard this, he no longer hesitated. All right, I'll go with you. Its thick divine sense spread to the surroundings. All kinds of nether insects of different shapes and auras gathered at the nest after receiving some kind of order. Wei Nation, Cloud Ridge Mountain Range, a valley where Een energy gathered. Sure Eener sat cross-legged in the cave. 3 powerful auras emerged from her body. It was demonic power, magic power, and a dancing power. Within her dantian, there was a silver zombie core. 2 tiny nascent souls surrounded her. 2 different types of nascent soul power slowly floated out of the tiny nascent souls and flowed into the zombie core. Zombies were the product of a cultivator's physical body and the Een power. After entering the silver-armored corpse realm, its meridians and dantian were close to that of a cultivator and could adapt to the powerful Een power. For a silver-armored corpse to break through, it had to devour a mid-stage nascent soul. The nascent soul power will be transformed by the zombie core into a higher level of Een power to stimulate the breakthrough of cultivation. Moreover, it would also produce energy that nourished the physical body. While nourishing the meridians and dantian, it would form a layer of protection. This way, when the Een power broke through, it would not damage the meridians and dantian. Therefore, in the outside world, silver-armored corpses would think of ways to kill nascent soul cultivators and devour their nascent souls. Other than improving their cultivation, it would also improve their meridians and dantian, increasing their cultivation efficiency. However, Eener was a little different. After being transformed by Lu Kuan's blood essence, her meridians and dantian were no different from that of a normal nascent soul cultivator. She could completely withstand the eruption of the 9th level Een power. Although she needed the stimulation of 2 types of nascent soul power because of her dual attributes, her physical aptitude was excellent. As long as she willed it, she could rely on a small amount of nascent soul power to easily break through. The 2 nascent souls have only absorbed a small portion. If I break through directly, the remaining nascent souls will dissipate. This is too wasteful. Feeling the remaining majority of nascent souls in her dantian, Eener had a distressed expression. Although she knew that Lu Kuan was strong, The nascent soul of a great cultivator was not so easy to catch. She couldn't easily waste it. The Pavilion Master's blood essence energy focused on transforming the silver-armored corpse's body, making it closer to that of a human. The nascent soul power is more suitable for improving the Dantian and meridians. Various thoughts flashed through Serene's mind. She suppressed the abundant power in her corpse core and continued to absorb the energy of the two nascent souls, doing her best to transform it into energy that could nourish her meridians and Dantian. But as time passed, her face gradually twitched. The energy of the two great cultivators' nascent souls was far too great. It was extremely difficult to transform it. Moreover, as the corpse core was being transformed, it would produce an excess of high-leveling power, causing its aura to become increasingly great and compress the corpse core. If she didn't make a breakthrough, the corpse core would likely explode from the terrifying energy of the two nascent souls. That's right, the nether insect sacred relic. As Serene was feeling the strain, she suddenly thought of something. A light flashed in her hand, and she swallowed an octahedral crystal. It floated above the corpse core. But after a while, she discovered that there was no response from this sacred relic. The last time the corpse core was difficult to revolve, the nether insect sacred relic released energy to help refine it. Why is there no movement now? Could it be? Her expression changed. A mass of silver blood essence appeared in front of her and was sucked in by her watery gray lips. The corpse core, which was already struggling, trembled even more violently after this mass of blood essence was added in. A terrifying power surged within it, as if it would explode at any moment. At this moment, the nether insect sacred relic seemed to sense something and shot out a translucent beam of light. The corpse core seemed to have eaten some kind of great tonic. Its refining speed sharply increased and the power stabilized. The two remnant nascent souls and the mass of blood essence around her began to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, they were all sucked into the corpse core. In the next moment, an even more turbulent power aura mixed with several strange energies erupted from her Dantian. As these energies spread out, Serene's body, which didn't have much of a sense of touch before, felt a heart-wrenching pain that she had never experienced before. Her body couldn't help but twitch. Outside her watery gray skin, a silver light appeared. Her clothes were washed away by this silver light and turned to dust. Thick corpse chi gushed out from every part of his body, forming into keratinous scales that covered his entire body. They were densely packed together, as if he was wearing a snakeskin scale armor. Her head was also covered. Her hair split to the sides, forming a pair of short horns on either side of her ears. Her teeth instantly became extremely sharp. Serene lay on the ground in pain. Her fingertips clasped on the ground turned into knife-like claws that easily pierced through solid rock. Small bone spurs emerged from the joints of her limbs. This layer of silver scale armor covered her body, and it accentuated her exquisite figure. The boundless corpse chi, coupled with the extremely dense energy, emitted a ferocious and evil aura. Chapter 11:18. A few days later, Lu Kuan returned to the body refining pavilion from the demonic Dragon Mountain. The 9 array nodes there had all been opened. What was strange was that other than the first 2, the other 7 formations were all useless. Lu Kuan did not care about this. Just the 2 poison sacs that he obtained were enough for Do and to study for a long time. Apart from that, the biggest gain from the demonic Dragon Mountain was the rich chi of heaven and earth. If Pan Yin could integrate it into his bone treasure, it would be a great discovery for the Yuan earth body refining art. As for the strange arrays in the demonic Dragon Mountain, although Lu Kuan felt that it was related to the abyss of death, he didn't have the heart to investigate it. After all, it was still the territory of the blood refining sect. If there were any problems with the high-level demonic insects, the blood refining sect would be the first to discover it. He was once the blood devil, so he naturally knew that this demonic sect had set up many detection methods near the Abyss of Death. In the cave of the Devil Abyss, two silhouettes were crossing each other at high speed. Inside the cave, there were several afterimages. Waves of formless air billowed in all directions, bombarding the walls and continuously making rumbling sounds. After a while, the two figures stopped. Besides Lu Kuan, the other was a slender figure wrapped in light silver scales. It was Serene, who had just broken through. As a silver-gray spirit light flashed, the scales on her skin gradually turned into a strong corpse aura, which flowed in her body, revealing her curvaceous body. A black robe appeared out of thin air, covering her body. Lu Kuan looked at his arm. There was a small opening on his skin, and a cloud of light gray corpse chi was forced out. He looked surprised and said, "I didn't expect you to have such strength after breaking through." The defensive power of this layer of corpse chi armor is astonishing. It is equivalent to a powerful defensive magic weapon. The fingertips and bone spurs are also incomparably sharp. Under the infusion of the cold power, not only does it have an extremely strong penetrative power, it also contains corpse poison. More importantly, this armor has condensed all the corpse energy in your body, increasing the vitality of your flesh and blood and the flexibility of your joints. If you get close to me, even a cultivator at the peak of the nascent soul stage won't be able to withstand your continuous attacks. Serene was very excited. Although Lu Kuan didn't use his full strength, she was still able to break his flesh in a direct confrontation. This was already beyond her imagination. Lu Kuan's expression was also rather excited. With the addition of this level 9 silver-armored corpse, the strength of the body refinement pavilion had increased by a lot. In addition to the two disciples, there were now 3 powerhouses below the level of Great Cultivator. He pondered and said, "Since you've broken through, let's try the method from before to heal me." Serene nodded. Her blood essence surged, and an apple-sized ball of light silver blood essence slowly floated out. Lu Kuan stretched out his palm. After sensing it for a moment, he revealed a satisfied expression. After Serene broke through, not only did the density of her blood increase, but the aura of the nether insect sacred relic also became stronger. He opened his mouth and swallowed the blood into his abdomen. Then he sat down cross-legged. His blood wrapped around the blood and transported it through his capillaries to his liver. Lu Kuan wanted to use the aura of the nether insect sacred relic in Serene's blood to force out the foreign consciousness hidden in her organs. The last time he tried, because the density of her blood was too weak, it didn't take long for his powerful blood essence to disperse most of it. Moreover, he also wasted a lot of time on the other organs. This time, he went straight to the place where the foreign consciousness appeared, the liver. In addition to his blood, Lu Kuan also mobilized his body and spiritual sense. He first used his own blood to wrap around Serene's blood essence, hiding its aura. After entering the liver, he wasn't in a hurry to release it. Instead, he spread the blood throughout the organs. Last time, I was startled and was hidden by the two consciousnesses. I wonder if I can force them out this time. As this thought flashed through his mind, Lu Kuan released the binding of the blood essence. The aura of the nether insect sacred relic in Serene's blood instantly filled the liver. The two consciousnesses seemed to be frightened and suddenly revealed themselves. Found it. The silver-armored corpse's blood immediately wrapped around the foreign consciousness. The two consciousnesses seemed to be afraid of this aura and wandered around the organs, full of spirituality. Lu Kuan's face sank. Iner continued to provide the blood essence. He opened his mouth, and Serene's blood essence, which carried the aura of the nether insect sacred relic, poured into his mouth. Under his control, the entire liver was wrapped in blood. This wasn't the first time Lu Kuan had been infected by the true demon will. Back then, when he was soaking in the devil pool in the Death Sea Devil Cave and used the devil ape transformation, a brutal consciousness had invaded his body. However, at that time, the consciousness had been circulating in his blood. In the end, he had used the blood crystallization technique to seal the brutal consciousness. But now, the foreign consciousness was different. It was stored in the depths of the organs in a new way. His blood could only cover a part of the organs and couldn't block it. So difficult to deal with. With a thought, Lu Kuan's entire liver began to collapse inwards, gradually softening and turning into a mass of flesh and blood essence. The extremely rich silver-armored corpse's blood wrapped around it. After using the viscera condensation technique, Lu Kuan's blood essence could permeate the whole organ, but sure Enur's blood essence couldn't. Instead, it was rejected. After a full hour, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes, revealing a somewhat heavy expression. The silver-armored corpse's blood couldn't permeate the essence of the organs, so there was no way to force the foreign consciousness out. And his blood essence was in the essence of the organs, so he couldn't use the blood crystallization technique. Otherwise, it would be sealed along with the cells of the organs. The foreign consciousness is so difficult to deal with. The organs are like its home ground. I'm afraid that the aura of the holy relic must be integrated into the essence of the organs to force the foreign consciousness out. But how can I get sure Enur's blood essence to enter the essence of the organs? After entering the middle stage of bone transformation, the concentration of blood has greatly increased. The organs are relatively weaker than the blood. It's a bit difficult to squeeze my own blood essence in. But the life force is an energy that can freely circulate in the depths of the organs. Lu Kuan couldn't help but ponder. The life force is in the same place as the foreign consciousness, but it can't find the consciousness, nor can it force it out. That's right, the cultivation of the life force requires the consumption of blood essence. Sure, Enur's blood is of the same origin as mine, so I can use the life force to absorb the blood essence and draw the aura of the holy relic into the depths of the organs. Lu Kuan's expression brightened, and he closed his eyes again. The life force in his body flowed along his spine and into his organs. Under the effect of the blood crystallization technique, his liver turned into a wriggling mass of flesh and blood essence that hung in his blood vessels. Enur, give me some more blood essence. The silver-armored corpse's blood essence that had just entered his body once again flowed into his liver. With the life force as a guide, I can absorb the aura of the holy relic. As long as I can force the foreign consciousness out of the organs, the blood essence outside will be able to crystallize and seal it in one go. Next, he began to circulate the cultivation method of the life force. Chapter 1119. Requesting leave for the ancestor of body cultivators. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 1120. The ancestor of body cultivators will be updated tomorrow. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1121. Ningxue State was located in the southwest corner of the Great Zhou Dynasty. It bordered the sea and was separated from the state of Qi by the Tongtian River. Although it was only a single state, its area was comparable to that of the state of Qi. There were many cultivation sects in the state, but most of them were ordinary sects due to the spiritual Qi in Ningxue State. On this day, two strangely dressed men were walking on the banks of the Tongtian River. They were bald and had 2 rows of scars on their heads. The two of them looked like they were walking normally, but with every step they took, they were several feet away. It was very mysterious. Their bodies emitted a peaceful aura, as if they were monks who had achieved success in cultivation. The elder monk had a white beard that was more than a foot long. His white eyebrows were thick and long, and he wore a red kasaya. He held a dark golden staff that was decorated with several small bells. When he shook it, no sound came out. The other monk was much younger, only in his 20s. He had delicate features and wore a dark yellow robe. He rubbed a string of Buddhist beads in his hand and looked curiously at the Tongtian River. The little monk suddenly spoke in a clear voice. Master, we've been walking on the banks of the Tongtian River for several days. How much longer do we have to walk? The old monk smiled with a strange aura. Before he spoke, the little monk's anxious heart calmed down a little. Then the old monk spoke gently. Ziqing, the Tongtian River is a remnant of the ancient Yuan school. There are many dangerous places inside, especially the gentle winds. If there aren't many of them, I can protect you. But if they form a storm, even Senior Brother Abbot will have to retreat. After 10 miles or so, there are few spatial cracks. There are almost no gentle winds there. We can pass through easily. The little monk put his palms together and said the name of Buddha. He continued to walk with the old monk. But after a while, he couldn't help but ask, Master, I've always had a question. Places like the West Sea State and the Dayuan State with the 3 great Taoist sects, and even the distant 13 countries of Eastern Cloud have Buddhist cultivators. Even if the Tongtian River is in the way of the Southwest cultivation world, it shouldn't be impossible to spread Buddhism. The old monk heard this and slowed down a few steps. He said slowly, Great Spirit Lord Buddha, we didn't enter the Southwest cultivation world because we had an agreement with a senior in the Southwest. The little monk's eyes widened as he said, Master, since you call him senior, could it be that he's a demigod realm cultivator? The old monk nodded and said, This senior's philosophy is completely different from Buddhism. Buddhism preaches the equality of all living beings. As long as it's a life form in this world, it's all equal, especially the demon race. They shouldn't be suppressed by the human race. Only when all the cultivators of this world are united can we face the threat of the devil race at any time. However, that senior believes that since the demon race is not of our race, their intentions must be different. Only by enslaving the entire race and turning them into the spirit beasts of the cultivators can the strength of the 2 races be truly integrated. The little monk couldn't bear it and said, This senior is too cruel. Even after the Great War with the demon race, the ancient cultivators only expelled the demon race and didn't exterminate them. He continued, Master, our temple has existed since ancient times. Does this senior want us to not spread Buddhism for tens of thousands of years? 10,000 years ago, our temple also had a spirit-severing senior. The old monk sighed and said, This senior spirit beast is the Black Tortoise Demon King, which is equivalent to the combat power of 2 spirit-severing cultivators. In a cross-region battle, even if 3 or 4 spirit-severing cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty go together, they won't be able to win. As for the agreed time limit, it's only during her lifetime that she can't spread Buddhism. Speaking of this, his face twitched. But this senior is different from other spirit-severing cultivators. She has lived for 30,000 years. The little monk was dumbfounded. 30,000 years. Isn't the lifespan of a spirit-severing cultivator more than 2,000 years? How? The old monk didn't answer directly, but his eyes revealed some admiration. Speaking of which, this senior is also a person with amazing talent. The cultivation method she created is exquisite. Although she enslaved the demon race, in the process of cultivation, the cultivation of the 2 races actually complements each other. The human race uses the demon spirit energy of the demon race to break through, and the demon race can also use the human race's methods to break through more easily, especially the threshold of the 8th level of human transformation. That senior wanted to use the power of her sect to enslave the entire demon race in the outer seas and become the most powerful sect after the ancient times. The old monk sighed. Unfortunately, there was also a genius among the demon race in the outer seas at that time. He used the body of a flood dragon to transform into the body of a true dragon and became a demon king. He blocked this senior. Both sides fought openly and secretly, and each used their own secret techniques to increase their lifespan. The stalemate lasted for 30,000 years. Not long ago, Senior Abbot sensed that the heaven-earth essence chi in the Chu country and the outer seas was gradually reaching a balance. These two powerful seniors still couldn't resist the loss of their lifespan. The little monk couldn't help but sigh. Sigh, why does this senior want to enslave the demon race? With such a cultivation method, she can totally share it with the demon race. Perhaps the relationship between the two sides will become closer, and it will be a waste of strength. Great spiritual Lord Buddha. The old monk chanted a Buddhist name and said seriously, "These years, under the regulation of our temple, the relationship between the great Zhou dynasty and the Five Dragon Seas has become increasingly friendly. There hasn't been a war in the great Zhou dynasty for a long time. This time, we're going to the southwest immortal cultivation world to spread Buddhism. We want to reduce the internal friction there. If we succeed, not only will our merit be immeasurable, it will also be greatly beneficial to our cultivation." The little monk turned the Buddhist prayer beads with a solemn expression. However, before he could speak, a deep male voice suddenly sounded in their ears. Buddhist cultivators are also thinking about the southwest immortal cultivation world. The old monk was slightly stunned, as if he didn't expect someone to be nearby. He followed the voice and looked at the heavenly stream. In the mist above the stream, two figures gradually appeared. The first one was an extremely burly middle-aged man. He had short hair and a square face. He was dressed in gray, and his eyes were bright and faintly flashed with a golden light. There was no aura coming from his body, as if he was immortal. Beside him was a woman with a graceful figure. She was also dressed in gray, and she was beautiful. Her gray skin had a moist luster, and she emitted a cold aura. When the two of them appeared, the staff in the old monk's hand suddenly trembled, and the bells on it jingled. The little monk felt an invisible pressure on his face, and he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. The old monk's expression changed slightly, and an obscure dermic power rose from his body. The staff gradually calmed down and floated in front of him. He put his palms together and said, "This old monk's Dharma name is Ji Yuan, and this is my disciple, Zi Qing. How should I address the two of you?" The burly man cupped his hands and said, "I'm Lu Kuan, and this is my junior sister, Serene. Master Ji Yuan, you haven't answered Lu's question. Are the two of you going to the southwest immortal cultivation world?" The old monk said, "Great spiritual Lord Buddha, monks don't lie. This time, this old monk is going to the southwest immortal cultivation world to spread Buddhism." Lu Kuan sized up the 2 monks and said slowly, "How are you going to spread Buddhism? Are you going to find a spirit vein to build a temple and recruit disciples?" The old monk, Ji Yuan, smiled and said, "A temple is a place to cultivate and pray to Buddha. Of course, it's necessary. However, it's more about spreading the teachings of Buddhism." Lu Kuan's expression darkened. "Master Ji Yuan, you're a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. A Buddhist cultivator with such strength must be an eminent monk of the Huatian Temple." Ji Yuan's expression became serious when he was called out. He put his palms together and said, "Great spiritual Lord Buddha, this old monk is one of the heads of the Huatian Temple." Lu Kuan snorted and said, "Master, I advise you to go back. With Lu here, even the top 3 sects will die if they dare to invade the southwest immortal cultivation world, let alone your 6th-ranked Huatian Temple." As he spoke, the surrounding air suddenly condensed, and an inexplicable pressure spread out. Chapter 11:22. The surrounding air was filled with an invisible force field that slowly squeezed inwards, as if it contained the power of 1,000 caddies. Ji Yuan's hair stood on end as a golden spiritual light filled with complex runes emanated from the red Kasaya, enveloping him and the little monk. Ji Yuan chanted a strange Buddhist mantra at the same time as the dark golden staff stood in front of him. A strange swastika symbol appeared from it and imprinted itself on the protective spiritual light around them. After doing all this, Ji Yuan felt the pressure lessen significantly. His eyes emitted a clear light as he clasped his hands together and said, "Amit Ba, Senior Brother Abbott said that this trip would be fraught with danger. I didn't expect to encounter such a powerhouse like fellow Taoist Lu before I even crossed the heavenly stream. Lu Kuan crossed his arms in front of his chest and only released a little of the Void Force Field's Void Force Field. He did not directly make a move. He sneered and said, "Master, you should go back. The Southwest Immortal Realm does not welcome any great Zhou immortal cultivators." Although Ji Yuan's magic power was surging and he looked like he was ready to fight at any time, his expression was very gentle. I wonder if fellow Taoist Lu can resolve this old monk's doubts. Why do you have such a prejudice against the great Zhou immortal sect? Lu Kuan's expression darkened as he snorted. Reason? You'll know after a fight. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared from where he was and appeared in front of Ji Yuan in an instant. The muscles on his right arm had turned into hideous and deformed lumps, like a thick stone pillar made of flesh and blood. His entire body was enveloped by a layer of faint silver light film. Spiritual chi and demonic chi appeared from the surrounding air and supported the stone pillar, emitting a black and white halo. Ji Yuan's gentle expression had disappeared and was replaced by a stunned expression. He seemed to be frightened by Lu Kuan's appearance and was not prepared at all. The faint golden barrier around his body was shattered. Clang! A crisp sound of collision was heard. Fortunately, the dark golden staff was full of spirituality and appeared in front of him, blocking the hideous fist covered in lumps of flesh. Violent energy surged out in all directions. The heaven and earth spirit chi and devil chi were agitated, and the origin chi hidden within them surged out. Half of the Yuan chi gathered towards the dark golden staff. This strange magic weapon could absorb the Yuan chi of heaven and earth and devil Yuan chi at the same time. A golden swastika the size of half a person appeared, firmly pressing against the flesh and bloodstone pillar. Interesting. Lu Kuan's body surged with a terrifying treasure light. His body expanded by 50% in an instant, turning into a 9 feet tall giant. He raised his free left hand, and the muscles on it bulged like a hill. Similarly, a dense black and white halo intertwined as he smashed it forward. Ji Yuan's face was pale as magic power poured out of his body. At the same time, a golden light shot out from between his eyebrows and entered the magic staff. The swastika symbol became even more solid. Boom! With a loud sound, the huge golden swastika symbol dimmed a lot, but it still seemed to be able to withstand the attack. But at this moment, Lu Kuan's rock-like fists turned into palms. His 10 fingers closed together, and the remaining black and white halo intertwined, forming a conical vortex. It was like a drill bit that stabbed into the center of the swastika symbol. At the same time, a silver light flashed. Accompanied by a destructive energy, the swastika symbol was completely shattered. However, the scattered golden light turned into balls of light that fell on Lu Kuan's huge body. These golden lights contained a powerful burning power, but they were still energy attacks. After being weakened by the Xiaoling's soft armor, the remaining power only burned Lu Kuan's skin a little. Ji Yuan held the magic staff with one hand and lowered his head to look at his right chest. There was a small bloody hole on the edge of the red kasaya. He sighed and put his palms together. "Thank you for showing mercy, Taoist Lu." Lu Kuan had already returned to his normal size. He stretched out his palm, and a pale silver nail flew out of the bloody hole on Ji Yuan's chest and landed in his hand. He glanced at the dark golden magic staff and said, "Buddhist mystical powers are indeed something." Ji Yuan ignored the injury on his body and said seriously, "Master Lu's mystical powers are unique. May I ask which sect you belong to?" Silver blood flowed on Lu Kuan's fingertips. He fiddled with the nail and put it back in place. He said slowly, "Lu is the owner of the Wayne Nation's body refining pavilion. A quarter of the Southwest cultivation world is now under the control of the body refining pavilion." Body refining pavilion. Although Ji Yuan had never heard of this sect, he could guess that its mystical powers were all related to the physical body through the battle just now. He muttered, body refining techniques are unheard of in the cultivation world. Master Lu hates the Great Zhou sect so much. Could it be that they are coveting the body refining pavilion's mystical powers and are trying to steal your sect's mystical powers? Lu Kuan rubbed his fingers. The nails on them had already recovered, as if they were never broken. He snorted and said, "Those greedy fellows have already died in the hands of Lu. Why? Is Huatian Temple also interested in the body refining techniques?" Ba, great spiritual Lord Buddha, Ji Yuan chanted and said, "I have yet to cultivate the Buddhist mystical powers of Huatian Temple to the extreme. Why would I be greedy for other people's mystical powers?" Greed is one of the three poisons. It is the greatest enemy of Buddhist cultivation. If you are greedy, your cultivation will not only stagnate, but it will also regress. Why would our temple do something that will harm our cultivation? Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and realized that Ji Yuan's eyes were extremely clear when he spoke. He could not help but say, "Old monk, you're quite capable." Ji Yuan put away his dark golden staff and put his palms together. "Master Lu, our temple has no intention of interfering with your sect's mystical powers. My purpose of this trip is to spread Buddhist ideals and mystical powers in the Southwest. I don't want any resources from your temple." Lu Kuan touched his chin and said, "If that's the case, I can consider it. However, we'll have to wait until Lu is done with the Great Zhou sex matters." As he spoke, he waved his hand and an exquisite spirit boat appeared in the air. He then said, "That's right, I left a strand of baleful Eam thread in Grandmaster's body. It contains a unique baleful will. As long as Lu wills it, this intent will explode. Although it's not fatal, under its impact, one's soul and body will suffer considerable damage. Master, it's best if you return to Huatian Temple to recuperate. Lu might pay you a visit. Let's go." Shirt had been staring at the scar on the top of the two monks' heads. Her eyeballs were rolling, and no one knew what she was thinking. When she heard Lu Kuan's call, she responded and landed on the spirit boat in a flash. She made a series of hand seals and controlled the flying boat to speed into the distance. When Ji Yuan heard Lu Kuan's words, he was shocked. He used his divine sense to sense carefully and found an almost invisible silver ball of blood in the wound on Lu Kuan's chest. Within the condensed blood qi, there was a faint trace of willpower that emitted a ferocious aura. It seems to contain the aura of the true demon intent, but it also seems like a pure murderous intent. Could it be that Master Lu has already comprehended the intent and is half a step into the soul formation stage? Ji Yuan's dermic powers surged and healed the wound. However, he did not dare to touch the small ball of blood inside. "Master, what should we do now? Should we go back?" At this moment, the little monk, Ziqing, shrunk his neck and asked weakly. Although he was hiding behind Ji Yuan and wasn't injured, the terrifying aura from the battle just now really scared him. The other party was able to injure his late nascent soul stage master so easily. He was probably even more powerful than their abbot. Ji Yuan did not answer. Instead, he looked at the flying boat in the distance and suddenly thought of something. Master Lu said that he was here to settle some matters. Could it be that he wants to take revenge on the Great Zhou dynasty? His expression changed slightly. A golden light enveloped the little monk, and he turned into a ray of light that shot into the sky. The divine sense of a grand cultivator surged into the distance. "Master Lu, please wait for me." Chapter 11:23. Dangling City was the largest cultivator market in Ningxue Prefecture. It was built on a plain and was hundreds of miles wide. It was shrouded in layers of complicated spirit-gathering formations. It was adjacent to the Tongtian River to the south and a magnificent river to the east. This river was the only tributary of the Tongtian River. It was thousands of miles wide and flowed out from the Tongtian River, spreading throughout the entire Great Zhou dynasty. The main river led to the Broken Country to the north of the Great Zhou dynasty. It was the remains of the ancient Yuan sect, so it was called the Guiyuan River. On this day, on the main road of Dangling City, a few figures were strolling around. They were surrounded by a layer of blurry, spiritual light. The others could barely see their figures, but could not see their faces, let alone hear any sounds. Many cultivators who crossed paths with them were in awe when they sensed the unfathomable spiritual light. They distanced themselves from them for fear of bumping into their seniors. In the blurry spiritual light, the two people in front were a burly man and an old monk in a red cassock. Behind them was a beautiful woman and a young monk. Whenever the woman asked something, the young monk would explain it with a pleasant expression. The Guiyuan River is not full of spatial cracks like the Tongtian River. The only trouble is the spiritual energy storms. The large spirit boats of myriad immortals dock were built to counter such natural disasters. There are many cultivator sects in the Great Zhou dynasty, and there are many dangerous places. The Guiyuan River, which is a river throughout the Great Zhou dynasty, has become an important transportation route. Myriad Immortals Dock was built by the large sects to provide convenience for the cultivators in the various prefectures. The ship of Myriad Immortals Dock will depart in a week. No matter where Master Lu goes, it will be much faster to take the ship. As Lu Kuan listened to Monk Ji Yuan's introduction, he observed the scene in the market. There were hundreds of cultivators bustling around, and the talismans and magical artifacts they were selling were all of excellent quality. The Great Zhou dynasty's cultivation world was clearly much more prosperous. Lu Kuan said slowly, "Along the way, I'll have a troubled grandmaster to explain the situation of the Great Zhou dynasty. Within a year, I will definitely pay a visit to Huatian Temple. If that thread of baleful energy has not been dissolved, Lu will help grandmaster remove it." Hearing Lu Kuan's words, Ji Yuan knew that he couldn't shamelessly accompany him. He took out a jade pendant with the words Huatian Temple engraved on it. There's also a vague image of a Buddha drawn on the back. Ji Yuan solemnly said, "This is the token of our temple's esteemed guest, the spiritual Buddha jade. Master Lu, please accept it. As long as you present this jade, our temple's disciples will receive you with the highest standards." Lu Kuan took the jade pendant, cupped his hands, and said, "Then let's part here. We'll meet again someday." Ji Yuan hesitated for a moment before he put his palms together and said, "Great Spirit Overlord Buddha, although I don't know why Master Lu has come to Great Zhou, I still hope that Master Lu will kill less people." Lu Kuan said calmly, "Grandmaster, you don't have to worry about this. Goodbye." After he finished speaking, he and Serene Er's figures flashed and turned into a few afterimages, quickly disappearing from the street. Ji Yuan looked into the distance and sighed softly. Master Lu is determined. I didn't expect such a terrifying force to appear in the southwest. Ziqing, leave the temple on your own later. I'll take my leave first. I have to inform Senior Brother Abbot about this as soon as possible." The little monk said obediently, "Yes, Master. I hope that the few sects in Great Zhou can coexist peacefully with the body refining pavilion. The Shatter Nation is about to open. It's unwise to have a conflict at this time." After muttering a few words, the old monk took 2 steps. His figure blurred a few times before he disappeared from the street as well. The little monk looked around and scratched his head. He then walked toward the pavilion called the Drunken Immortal Pavilion not far away. Lu Kuan and Serene turned a few corners. When they appeared again, they had changed their appearances. Lu Kuan turned into a skinny bald man. Although Serene did not have the ability to change her muscles, she could restrain her blood and dry her skin. She turned into an old woman with a withered face. The two of them walked for a while and arrived in front of a small, inconspicuous house. Above the wooden door, there was a green plaque with 3 crooked words written on it, Dark Spirit Pavilion. This should be the place where the little monk told you to buy and sell information. Let's go in. Serene coughed twice. Her body emitted a trace of energy. She pushed the door open and walked in first. Lu Kuan followed behind. He only had the mana of the peak of the foundation establishment stage. He looked like a little follower. After entering, the two's eyes lit up slightly. There seemed to be a different world inside. It was much bigger than the house outside. Clearly, it had used a spatial spell formation. The area was about 100 feet long and wide. It was divided into small tea rooms. The screens were covered with thick spiritual light. It was some kind of profound isolation spell formation. Fellow Taoists, welcome to the Dark Spirit Pavilion. A middle-aged man came forward. Ching, you may leave. This fellow has a high cultivation. I will personally welcome him. The middle-aged man bowed and left. From a house in the middle, an old man with a long beard walked out. The spiritual light in his body was dense. He was in the early stage of the nascent soul stage. Lu Kuan, who was behind Serene, was slightly stunned. He did not expect that a branch of the Dark Spirit Pavilion would have a nascent soul stage cultivator. How should I address you, fellow cultivator? I am the elder of the Dark Spirit Pavilion, Huafeng. The long-bearded old man cupped his hands. Serene, said lightly, my surname is Qi. The long-bearded old man did not care about her cold attitude. There were many strange people who had cultivated to the nascent soul stage. So it's fellow cultivator Qi. Please come this way. The old man led Serene to a room in the depths. He said, this tea room is specially prepared for nascent soul stage cultivators. Other than the restriction screen, the stone walls are all made of broken dragon stone. It is very safe. After they walked in, there were only 2 seats and a tea table. Serene sat on a rattan chair, while Lu Kuan stood behind her. The long-bearded old man brewed a pot of tea and said, fellow cultivator Qi, are you buying or selling information? Serene said with a hoarse voice, I am buying information about the Supreme Profound Sect. The more detailed, the better. It would be best if there is information about their nascent soul stage cultivators going out. The long-bearded old man looked at Serene with surprise and said, the Supreme Profound Sect is now the 4th largest sect in the Great Zhou dynasty. The price of their information is not low. Let's take a look first. The old man nodded. Several spiritual lights appeared in his hand and hit a miniature spell formation on the tea table. A moment later, a spiritual light flashed and a jade slip appeared. The long-bearded old man said, fellow cultivator, take a look at the specific information. The price is 50,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Hearing the price, even though Lu Kuan was rich, he was a bit shocked. This price was enough to buy a powerful magic treasure. This was just information about the Supreme Profound Sect. Then Lu Kuan quietly separated a trace of his divine sense and checked the jade slip in Serene's hand. However, he didn't notice that the long-bearded old man's hand that was holding the teacup trembled. There was a flash of fear in the depths of his eyes. There was a catalog inside the jade slip. The Supreme Profound Sect's power distribution, the cultivation of the elders, their relationship with the other sects, and even the talented disciples of the sect were recorded. Under Lu Kuan's instructions, Serene frowned and said, this price is not a problem. However, do you have any information about a nascent soul cultivator going out on a mission? The long-bearded old man heard her words and coughed lightly. When it comes to matters involving nascent soul cultivators, the major sects will try their best to cover it up. The top 10 sects are also bound by the Oath Stone. Even if you pay several times more spirit stones, we won't be able to get such information. Serene didn't say much. She took out a storage bag and threw it over. Fellow cultivator, you are straightforward. The long-bearded old man shot another spiritual light into the miniature spell formation. A moment later, a jade slip was released. Serene caught it in her hand and glanced at it briefly before putting it away. She said with a hoarse voice, I have information about the Saint Devil's sect to sell. The long-bearded old man was just about to exchange some pleasantries when he heard this. He was startled and said, what is it about? Serene said indifferently, Saint Devil sect's first elder Huang Chong and third elder Shui Tianyu. It's related to their lives. The long-bearded old man's expression changed slightly. Fellow Cultivator Chi, if the information is correct and there is enough evidence, the Shadow Pavilion is willing to pay 200,000 mid-tier spirit stones. Serene, or said indifferently, pay 200,000 mid-tier spirit stones first. I will tell you the information. As for the evidence, pay another 300,000. The long-bearded old man's expression changed. He glanced at Lu Kuan behind Serene and gritted his teeth. Okay, but you have to sign a contract on our oath stone. If the information is false, we will return double the spirit stones. Okay. The old man took out a white stone and signed a contract. He took out a storage bag and handed it over. Fellow Cultivator Chi, please speak. Serene, said indifferently, Saint Devil Sex Huang Chong and Shuetan, you are dead. What? The long-bearded old man couldn't help but stand up. His expression changed drastically. Even if he was mentally prepared, he didn't expect such shocking news. This was the fifth strongest sect in the Great Zhou dynasty. Two great cultivators had died at once. This would cause a change in the power of the Wei Kingdom's demon sect. He took a deep breath and said, words are no proof. As long as you can show evidence, the pavilion is willing to pay double the spirit stones. Serene waved one hand, and a few shining items appeared in front of her. The long-bearded old man scanned them with his divine sense and murmured, Saint Devil Sex Elder Token, Huang Chong's Ghost Demon Axe, and Shui Tianyo's Life Treasure, Dark Spirit Hammer. Chapter 1124. Half a day later, Lu Kuan and Serene left the Shadow Pavilion. They blended into the crowd of cultivators and changed their appearances a few more times. I didn't expect the business of the Great Zhou dynasty to be so prosperous. Just the Shadow Pavilion alone is not weak. Lu Kuan turned into a bald man and sighed in his heart as he walked. According to Huafeng, the Shadow Pavilion had at least 6 nascent soul stage cultivators in every market. Even if they were all early nascent soul stage cultivators, they could still be considered a top sect in the Chu country. But in the Great Zhou dynasty, the Shadow Pavilion could barely be considered an upper-middle level force. The Saint Devil sect is located in the Yunlu state in the northeast of the Great Zhou dynasty. It's a long way and will take a lot of time to get there. It's better to release the news first and let the competitors suppress them first. Lu Kuan scanned the jade slips in the rib with his spiritual sense and showed a satisfied expression. With his status, he didn't lack spiritual stones at all. Instead, the news provided by the Shadow Pavilion was very important to him. He locked onto one of the jade slips with his spiritual sense. I was wondering why the Xian sect didn't do anything. So the soul formation stage cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty went to check it out. As for the other elders of the Xian sect, after finding out that Peng Yuanhua and the others died, they probably didn't have the courage to go to the southwest. Lu Kuan lowered his head and thought. According to the news from the Shadow Pavilion, the opening of the Broken Kingdom might be delayed by 60 years, which is 100 years later. The soul formation stage cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty will all go to the Broken Kingdom. But in the next 100 years, the old man of the Xian sect will have time to cause trouble for the body refining pavilion. His first stop will be the Great Yuan state where the Xian sect is located. If he loses more than half of his nascent soul stage elders, I don't believe that old man will dare to leave the sect. After strolling around the makeshift market for a while, Lu Kuan and Serene went to rent a temporary cave. The Cultivator Cave in Dangling City was located in the center of the city. The spirit gathering formation here was quite exquisite. Besides gathering spirit chi, it also attracted demonic chi from the heaven stream. Whether it was an immortal cultivator or a demonic cultivator, they all had suitable cave dwellings to cultivate in. As for Lu Kuan, he rented a mixed cave dwelling that gathered demonic energy. Because he only rented it for 5 days, he had to spend a considerable amount of spirit stones. After Lu Kuan entered the cave, he used his divine sense to investigate. After finding that there were no problems, he asked, The blood essence in your body has been transformed these days, right? Serene, I nodded and said, Er's blood has recovered, and the total amount is a bit more than last time. Lu Kuan sensed the situation in his body and slowly said, It seems that it's just as I expected. There's a gap of 1 month between each treatment. Let's begin. 1 week is a little tight. As he spoke, he led Serene into the cave mansion's secret cultivation room. It was a square room with a dragon head carved into the left and right sides of the room. Pure devil chi and spiritual chi were coming out of the room. The two of them sat cross-legged in the middle. Serene condensed a ball of pale, silver blood and sent it into Lu Kuan's mouth. The latter slowly circulated the life force in his body. After his last attempt, Lu Kuan had already found a way to deal with the mutant will. First, he had to fuse the aura of the netherworm holy relic with a small portion of his life force. Originally, he had planned to just draw this aura into his internal organs and not fuse it. But later, he discovered that once the aura of the holy relic was separated from the blood essence, it would not be controlled by Lu Kuan. He could not effectively block the mutant will, so he needed to use his life force to completely absorb it. Thinking back to the last time, Lu Kuan had sent a portion of his life force to his liver. Then, under the effect of the condensation technique, the organ had turned into a pool of visceral essence. It was like a ball of squirming blood that hung in the blood vessels. Lu Kuan used his body and divine sense to control the life force, causing it to circulate through the liver's essence. Serene's blood had already been transported to the nearby blood vessels. The life force in the liver absorbed the energy of the blood essence, and the strange aura of the holy relic was also integrated. The netherworm holy relic was, after all, an item of a foreign race. Lu Kuan did not dare to completely absorb it, so he found a way to separate and circulate the life force. He could let it circulate in an internal organ and absorb the essence blood. This method could not increase the life force because there was no big circulation, but it could absorb the aura of the holy relic. As time passed, Serene sent more and more blood, and the liver's essence was filled with an inexplicable aura. The two hidden mutant wills had long been revealed, wandering in places where the life force could not reach. Finally, the aura of the holy relic in the life force reached its peak. Lu Kuan's mind moved, and this special energy surrounded him from all directions, forming a pale, white hemisphere that squeezed the two mutant wills. The two wills had nowhere to retreat, and they did not seem to want to leave the liver, so they directly collided with the life force. Boom! A shock wave of consciousness, with the liver as the center, exploded in the 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Lu Kuan's face was ferocious, and all his divine sense retreated into his spine, resisting the convulsions of his internal organs. He mobilized a large amount of blood essence into his internal organs, looking for something in this shock wave of consciousness. After a few breaths, the shock wave of consciousness gradually dissipated, and the two mutant wills in the liver hit again. At this time, the life force in the liver had disappeared, and the surrounding blood essence surged, condensing into 5 or 6 indiscernible silver balls of blood. There was a trace of mixed with a murderous aura in them, and it was transported to the root of the fingernail. Lu Kuan felt that a small part of the mutant wills had been reduced, and his expression relaxed. This healing method was accidentally discovered last time. Originally, he wanted to use this special life force to force the mutant wills out of the body, and then use the blood crystallization method to seal them. However, at the last moment, the mutant wills did not choose to leave the internal organs, but to perish together with the life force. The shock wave of consciousness in the body, just now, was the result of the mutual destruction between the life force that contained the aura of the holy relic and the mutant wills. If Lu Kuan did not have the divine soul concealment ability, this shock wave would have severely damaged his divine soul. This shock wave of consciousness was also strange. It did not affect the other parts of the body, but it caused a lot of damage to the internal organs. The degree of damage was only slightly less than the backlash of the 1 yuan force. In addition to this shock wave, there was also a strange remnant of will that leaked out. It seemed to be a mixture of the aura of the holy relic and the two wills at the same time, and it was extremely unstable. Fortunately, it could be sealed by the blood essence. This was what Lu Kuan called the murderous Yin thread, which was injected into Ji Yuan's body. As long as the blood essence seal was released, the unstable energy inside would cause a slight shock wave of consciousness. The combination of the murderous Yin thread and his fingernails would become a powerful divine ability. Lu Kuan concluded that the essential part of the healing method was Sereener's blood. Unfortunately, although her blood essence was pure, compared to a physique cultivator's, it was too weak. It was only enough for him to absorb 5 rounds of life force. The silver-armored corpse's body could not produce blood. It needed to absorb Lu Kuan's blood essence, and then use the corpse core to transform it. This process required a certain amount of time. With the strength of Lu Kuan's internal organs, he could barely withstand the final shock wave of consciousness 4 times. After that, he would have to consume his life force to nourish it. Destroying the mutant wills also consumed his life force. This special energy could only be recovered through his blood essence. Therefore, every time he healed, Lu Kuan's blood essence would be consumed by more than half. It would take at least a month to recover. According to the number of mutant wills he destroyed each time, he would need to heal 5 more times. In half a year, he would be able to completely eliminate the mutant wills. Lu Kuan did not dare to wait half a year. If he delayed, the old man of the Supreme Profound Sect would come out, and that would be troublesome. Therefore, he brought Sereener with him to the Great Zhou dynasty. Lu Kuan let out a breath of turbid air. Feeling the strength of his internal organs, he said with some surprise, Now that I'm prepared, my internal organs seem to be able to withstand 1 more round. Let's continue. Yes, Pavilion Master. Chapter 1125. A week later, at the eastern ferry of Dangling City, a huge object stopped steadily in the raging river. It was a huge spirit boat about 300 meters long and 200 meters wide. Its entire body was made of some kind of purple metal material. Complex spirit patterns were engraved on it, and the aura of a formation was faintly discernible, making people's hearts palpitate. There was a 4-story building on the spirit ship. The bottom floor was close to the deck, and there were nearly 1,000 small rooms inside. There were 1/3 fewer rooms on the upper floor. There were only 30 or so exquisite rooms on the 4th floor. Lu Kuan and Sereener sat by the window of a room on the 4th floor and looked down at the huge spirit ship. Sereener exclaimed, "There are too many cultivators here. There are more than 1,000 people in one trip." Lu Kuan said, "Ningshui State is close to the Heaven Pass River. There is a lot of demonic qi in the heaven and earth spiritual qi, so the cultivation environment is relatively bad. Yet, there are so many cultivators here. No wonder the Great Zhou dynasty is the most prosperous region in the cultivation world." Not long after, the spirit boat trembled slightly and slowly floated up. Mysterious restrictive power appeared on the outside of the boat, and it was moving toward the north. Its speed was still increasing. Looking at the restriction light outside, Lu Kuan turned around and said, "That's right. Study the blood condensation technique. If you can condense the corpse chi armor into your bones through blood, your strength will improve." Sereener nodded and closed her eyes to study the secret technique Lu Kuan gave her a few days ago. The silver-armored corpse was formed from a corpse and didn't have some of the body functions of a human. Although its body was strong, it was different from a body cultivator like Lu Kuan. Its toughest part was not its bones, but its flesh. The flesh of a level 9 silver-armored corpse had been refined by the corpse core for so many years. Its defense was amazing. Sereener also had the support of Lu Kuan's essence blood, so it was very flexible and could absorb stronger impacts. With such a flesh defense, Enor's newly comprehended corpse chi armor was redundant in terms of defense. However, the extended bone spurs could increase its attack power. However, because the bones of the silver-armored corpses were weaker than flesh and blood, the impact of the bone spurs and claws was limited. If they were too strong, they would hurt the bones instead. Lu Kuan's idea was to leave only the bone spikes in the corpse chi armor and transfer the rest of the corpse chi to the depths of the bones to increase the strength of the bones. The levitating ability of the level 9 silver-armored corpse could support up to 500,000 gene of force. Its hard bones could withstand the reaction force of the bone spikes and sharp claws. Together with the energy and corpse aura, this was the best way for Enor to fight. However, for the silver-armored corpses, corpse aura wasn't that easy to restrain. Only Lu Kuan's blood condensation technique could condense all of the corpse aura and move it to a designated location. While Enor was comprehending the secret technique, a jade slip appeared in Lu Kuan's hand, and he started reading it carefully. Supreme Elder of the Xian sect, Gu Deming, would attribute celestial spiritual root. Core formation at the age of 80. Nascent soul at the age of 200. Latent nascent soul at the age of 400. Less than 700 years old, he triggered a phenomenon in the chi of heaven and earth and tried to break through to the spirit-severing realm. Suspected of being hindered by the Blue Cloud sect, he failed in his first attempt. A few years ago, Gu Deming, at the age of 900, took advantage of the time when the spirit-severing realm cultivators of the three major sects were heading to the Broken Country to break through the bottleneck in the withered spirit swamp in the Dayuan continent, where the spiritual energy was scarce. He successfully broke through and became the third spirit-severing realm cultivator in the history of the Xian sect. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with amazement as he read the information inside. This supreme elder of the Xian sect not only had a terrifying aptitude, but also a terrifying patience. In order to break through to the spirit-severing realm in the Great Zhou dynasty, in addition to the shackles of the cultivation bottleneck, one also had to guard against the interference of other spirit-severing realm cultivators. Not only did Gu Deming have the potential to break through, but he had also endured for more than 200 years. Lu Kuan's face was gloomy. The information about the body refining pavilion had been known by the other party. Such a person would never give up on what he wanted. It was just a matter of time. The treasure of the Xian sect, the chaotic essence sword, a divine spirit treasure made by the second spirit-severing realm cultivator in the history of the Xian sect. Its power is unknown. His face became more and more gloomy. He found some information from Peng Yuanhua's memory. That Xianqing ruler was made by Gu Deming before he broke through to the spirit-severing realm by imitating the chaotic essence sword. From this, it could be seen that this old man was absolutely proficient in using the chaotic essence sword. I used the full nascent soul power to barely use the chi manifestation technique of the spirit-severing realm. With the help of the divine spirit treasure, this old man's power must be far beyond my best state. Within the range of the chi of heaven and earth that he controls, I am definitely no match for him. If I lead him to an environment where the chi of heaven and earth is scarce, I might be able to exchange a few moves with him. Lu Kuan calmed down and continued reading. The Grand Elder of the Xian sect, Mo Honkai, formed his gold core when he was 100 years old, entered the nascent soul stage when he was 200 years old, and entered the late nascent soul stage when he was 700 years old. After spending some time to read all the information in the jade slip, Lu Kuan slowly exhaled. Combined with the scattered information in Peng Yuanhua's soul, he had a comprehensive understanding of the Xian sect. Even if they lost Peng Yuanhua and several nascent soul elders, the remaining strength of the Xian sect was beyond imagination. There were still 3 grand cultivators and 30 nascent soul cultivators. I don't know what other techniques the spirit-severing realm cultivators have other than the chi manifestation technique. I must be careful. If there is a chance, at this moment, Lu Kuan's expression changed. With a flash of spiritual light, a black jade slip appeared in his hand, and his spiritual sense penetrated it. Fellow Taoist Qi, we just received news that a Qi tide has appeared in the Red Cloud Mountains of the Dayuan state. It is suspected that a supreme-grade spirit stone has appeared. Although this mountain is not under the influence of the Xian sect, they will definitely send nascent soul cultivators. If fellow Taoist Qi is going, it will be best to arrive within 3 days. Fellow Taoist Qi is looking for the spirit treasure imitation technique. Only the former 7 great sects of the Great Zhou dynasty may have it. Another piece of news. The spatial anomaly in the Broken Kingdom has calmed down. The spirit-severing realm cultivators of the major sects may have returned. Now that the news has been delivered, we don't owe each other anything. If fellow Taoist Qi has other confidential information, please continue to cooperate with us. After hearing this, the black jade slip dimmed again. Lu Kuan frowned, and another jade slip appeared in his hand. It was a map of the Great Zhou dynasty. Our current location is the Guiyuan River between the Ningxue state and the Huatian state. The Dayuan state is to the north. The Dayuan state was the largest state in the Great Zhou dynasty. It was located on the west bank of the Guiyuan River and was as vast as the state of Qi and the state of Chu combined. It was long and stretched all the way to the Broken Kingdom in the north. The Qi of heaven and earth in this state was extremely pure. Apart from the Xian sect, which was the 4th most powerful sect in the Great Zhou dynasty, the Blue Cloud sect, which was the 2nd most powerful sect in the Great Zhou dynasty, was also located here. There were dozens of other sects, big and small, scattered along the Guiyuan River. Lu Kuan followed the map and soon found the location of the Red Cloud Mountains. He couldn't help but frown. The Red Cloud Mountains are so close to the Xian sect's territory. The Red Cloud Mountains was only a medium-level spirit vein. Although it was not under the influence of the Xian sect, it was only separated by a few small sections. Lu Kuan followed the map and found the Withered Soul Swamp. His face was a bit gloomy. The method to break through to the pseudo-spirit severing realm requires the Qi of heaven and earth from a large area. If the Withered Soul Swamp is the core, the Red Cloud Mountains seem to be within the range of the Qi of heaven and earth. The Qi of heaven and earth is stored in the supreme-grade spirit stones, which can increase the chances of breaking through to the nascent soul realm. The Xian sect definitely won't let go of such a treasure. The Red Cloud Mountains are far away from the Blue Cloud sect. There are no opponents of the same level there. Goop Deming shouldn't be involved in such a small matter. Chapter 1126. The Blood Beast sect was located in the northeast of the Zhou dynasty, in the Yunlu state. It was the 7th sect in the Zhou dynasty and was ranked behind the Saint Devil sect in terms of strength. Besides being proficient in many demonic arts, they were especially good at cultivating demonic beasts. On this day, in a cave deep in the Blood Beast sect, a naked middle-aged man with strange runes engraved on his body was soaking in a square pool. The pool was filled with a thick black liquid that reached almost the height of the man's waist, and it kept seeping into his body. As time passed, the man's body became more and more majestic. Purple-black scales appeared on the surface of his skin, and an iron whip-like tail grew behind him. A sharp horn faintly protruded from his forehead. The black liquid kept sinking, and a skinny, lion-like beast appeared in the pool. It was crawling at the bottom of the pool with its eyes closed, as if it had fallen asleep. After the pool was exhausted, the middle-aged man had turned into a half-beast, half-human creature. He had strong muscles, hard scales, and a black horn on his head, exuding a strong Qi energy. He closed his eyes, as if he was sensing something. After an unknown amount of time, a red light suddenly burst out from his body, and a trace of black liquid was expelled from the gaps of his scales. The scales on his body, the tail behind him gradually dissipated, and even his majestic body shrank. The blood-red runes on his body dimmed and disappeared from his skin. The liquid that was expelled turned into a thick line of water that squeezed into the mouth and nose of the skinny lion. Its body quickly swelled up and was somewhat similar to the man's previous appearance. It had purple scales and black horns, but it was still in a deep sleep. After a while, the middle-aged man opened his eyes. He slowly floated up and landed outside the pool. He was the current Blood Beast sect's great elder, Tu Lingzi. Tu Lingzi recalled the scene of the fusion and pondered. No wonder the seniors in the sect wrote that one must cultivate the Blood Beast Heart Sutra to the late stage of the nascent soul stage before using this secret technique. If not for the protection of a strong demonic power, I'm afraid my body would have been swallowed by that chi energy. Tu Lingzi looked at the sleeping demonic beast and frowned. Although this kind of so-called vitality demonic beast can be cultivated quickly, no matter how much flesh and blood it is fed, even the flesh of a level 8 or level 9 demonic beast can't break through the threshold of level 8. Under the influence of this spiritual adhesion secret technique, I can only temporarily raise my magical body to the level of a magical beast of the 7th rank. Even though my mystic arts have increased by quite a bit, it's still not too much of a threat to a grand cultivator. It's just that the defense of my physical body has increased. But if I can raise my physical body to the level of a magical beast of the 8th rank, then things will be different. Thinking of this, a spirit light flashed in Tu Lingzi's hand, and a piece of animal skin appeared. There was a hidden spirit light flashing on it, and many words were printed on it. According to the ancestors' records, the Yuan school once had a branch of disciples who specialized in body refining methods, but this power method was extremely imperfect. Some of those disciples have cultivated into monsters that are neither human nor demon. Some have turned into demonic zombies and lost their consciousness. The strongest among them is only at the peak of the core formation realm. As a disciple of Yuan school who raised demonic beasts, our sect's ancestor created this spiritual adhesion technique with the help of this incomplete body refining method. If a core formation realm or a nascent soul realm cultivator can use it, our sect's strength can be raised to a higher level. But if only a grand cultivator can use it, its value will be greatly reduced. Tu Lingzi's eyes flashed, revealing a puzzled expression. Why didn't the ancestor pass down the body refining method? Is it because it's a path that can't be taken, and he didn't want to distract the future disciples? Tu Lingzi, have amazing aptitude, not inferior to the founder of the sect. If I have the body refining method of Yuan school, maybe I can perfect the spiritual adhesion technique. Thinking of this, Tu Lingzi looked at the animal skin in his hand. The cultivation places of Yuan school's body refining lineage are in the demonic beast garden and the devil refining cave. There may be a body refining method left behind. But where are these two places? Except for the ancient battlefield, the rest of the broken country has been explored. Could it be that they were sucked into a space crack? At this moment, Tu Lingzi suddenly raised his eyebrows. His hands formed a demonic seal, and a jade slip flew in from outside the cave. It was blooming with a red light. Obviously, it was some kind of urgent matter. Great Elder, the Shadow Pavilion, sold an important news. Huangchong and Shui Tianyo souls have been destroyed, and at the same time, 10 nascent soul realm elders have died. The strength of Saint Devil sect has greatly decreased. How can it be? Tu Lingzi lost his voice, but then he closed his mouth. There were images attached at the back of the jade slip. It was the token and life treasure of the two Saint Devil sect great cultivators, and the image of the traces of refining. His expression changed for a while, and then he gradually calmed down. Life treasure and token can't be faked, but just in case, it's better to test it. If Saint Devil sect's strength has greatly decreased, we may have to plan well. That demonic dragon blade is a demonic treasure that can be used by demonic cultivators. If we have such a treasure as a deterrent, our Blood Beast sect will have a chance to produce a spirit-severing cultivator. A series of thoughts flashed through his mind. Tu Lingzi waved one hand and kept the demonic beast in the pool. He turned into a ray of light and flew out of the cave. The ancient spirit state to the west of the Cloud Dew state was the second demonic area in the Great Zhou dynasty. It was the third-ranked sect and also the number one sect of the demonic path, the Prime Devil sect. On this day, in the Prime Devil sect's meeting hall, four immortal cultivators sat together. Each of them emitted an extremely dense demonic energy wave. They were all late nascent soul realm cultivators. The leader, a horse-faced old man, said, "Junior brothers, you've already heard the news. What do you think?" A charming middle-aged woman said excitedly, "This is a great opportunity. If there's a way to get the demonic dragon blade, our sect's reputation will be greatly boosted. Our combined strength might even surpass the Blue Cloud sect. This way, we can fight for a few more spots in the ancient battlefield." Another dark-skinned young man frowned and said slowly, "Senior Sisterly, if our sect fights across regions, those bald donkeys led by the Huatian Temple will definitely join in. That will give the Saint Devil sect a chance to breathe. The demonic dragon blade is not a normal divine spirit treasure. It hasn't been used for 1,000 years. It must have accumulated a large amount of chaotic demonic energy. If its power is fully unleashed, even Senior Uncle might not be willing to take it head-on." The middle-aged woman raised her eyebrows and said, "Then Junior Brother Han means that we should give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." The dark-skinned young man shook his head and said, "Of course not. Although we can't do it openly, we can secretly support the other demonic sections. The Blood Beast sect won't join forces with us, but the other demonic sects are different. Among these demonic sects, there are two great cultivators. If they have the help of a spirit treasure replica, their strength will be greatly increased. Even if these people get the demonic dragon blade, they won't be able to keep it. It's better to divide the Saint Devil sect's territory and resources with our support." The horse-faced old man nodded lightly and said, "Junior Brother Han, I'll leave the matter of dealing with the Saint Devil sect to you. I've already reported this matter to Senior Uncle. If Senior Uncle does it himself, then nothing will go wrong." The dark-skinned young man cupped his hands and said, "Yes, Senior Brother." He then hesitated and said, "If Senior Uncle does it himself, then the old monk Ji Yuan from the Huatian Temple, will he—" The horse-faced old man waved his hand and said, "Senior Uncle will make his own judgment. We don't need to worry." Then he looked at the last black-haired old man who didn't speak and threw a jade scroll over. "Junior Brother Wong, I spent some extra spirit stones to exchange for this image from the Shadow Pavilion." The black-haired old man took the jade scroll and scanned it with his spirit sense. What he saw was the image of a skinny bald man and a withered old woman. The information about the Saint Devil sect was provided by these two people. They even took out Huang Chong and Shui Tianyou's life treasure. The old woman is at the middle stage of a nascent soul stage, and she cultivates some kind of attribute skill. The skinny man is a great cultivator. The Jade Scroll also has traces of Huang Chong and Shui Tianyu in the past 100 years. It's strange that so many people from the Saint Devil sect died. Go and investigate the reason." "Yes, Senior Brother." Chapter 11:27. In the southeast of the Dayuan state, there was a wide mountain range with a low flat top that stretched for dozens of miles. There weren't many plants here, and its location was very strange. As long as you were in the mountain, you could see the red sunset at dusk. It was called Mount Qixia. The spirit Qi in MT Crimson was not obvious, but it was a medium-level spirit vein that contained many spirit stone mines. It was jointly occupied by two small sections. The mountain was surrounded by a layer of pale white mist, and the spirit Qi inside was surging. It was a kind of high-level restriction. On this day, 10 miles away from MT Crimson, there were 3 looming figures flying in the sky. A few nascent soul stage cultivators were communicating with each other. One of the women said, "Big brother, aren't we taking too much risk this time? The Supreme Great Spirit Stone is obviously something that Taishian sect must get. If we fight them head-on," a gentle male voice interrupted. "Second sister, Big Brother has a level 7 armored earth dragon, which is born with the ability to find treasures. It's very likely that we'll find the Supreme Grade Spirit Stone first. Even if the Supreme Profound Sect discovers the astonishing spiritual energy on Earth, the three of us will be able to escape safely with our combined speed, which is slightly faster than a Grand Cultivator. The woman said worriedly, but Taishian Sect has soul formation cultivators. Maybe they have ways to find the Supreme Grade Spirit Stone. If a deep male voice interrupted, if Taishian Sect finds the Supreme Grade Spirit Stone first, we will retreat immediately, second sister. This Tai spiritual talisman can completely hide our presence. As long as we don't fight, even a Grand Cultivator won't be able to detect us. It ensures our safety. The gentle voice said again, second sister, relax. We took advantage of Blue Cloud Sect before. Didn't we get away with it? The deep male voice sighed. Second sister, you may not know the miraculous use of a top-grade spirit stone. Aside from the extremely pure spiritual energy, it also contains a strand of pure spiritual energy of the world. Only through this kind of spirit stone can a nascent soul stage cultivator absorb the spiritual energy of the world. That's a high-grade energy that a soul formation cultivator can absorb. After a nascent soul cultivator absorbs it, not only can it increase their affinity with the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, it also has a special nourishing effect on the body of a cultivator. Big Brother, I've suffered many injuries. The hidden injuries of my conjured physique can only be healed by top-grade spirit stones. There was a hint of excitement in his voice as he said, with this, my chances of becoming a great cultivator have increased by 30%. The other two spirits were lifted. We will definitely help Big Brother. The deep male voice paused for a moment before continuing. Today is the third day of the Supreme Grade Spirit Stones phenomenon. Its pure spirit chi will gradually be exposed. As long as we fly 2 circles at a low altitude, the armored earth dragon will be able to detect it. Don't casually expose your divine sense. Use your spirit, divine ability, to observe the surroundings. I'll activate the Void Spirit Talisman and enter the restriction here. Yes, Big Brother. The three of them turned invisible and descended towards the flat mountain range below. Their flying speed was also reduced. An indiscernible spiritual light flashed, and they entered the white mist without causing any unnecessary fluctuations. However, the three of them didn't realize that in the sky above MT Crimson, outside the mist restriction, there was an invisible, burly figure looking in their direction. It was Lu Kuan. He had arrived near MT Crimson half a day ago and didn't sneak into the mountain range. This spirit vein was only about 30 miles. Without using his divine sense, he could see everything with his golden eye divine ability. Ever since he used the golden eye divine light to kill Saint Devil Sect's Huang Chong, the divine ability of his eyes had improved by another level. Although the restriction below the mountain range was powerful, it was still far from the level of a forbidden formation. He could clearly see the cultivators searching for spirit stones in the mountain range within the white mist. I didn't expect the top-grade spirit stone to attract so many high-level cultivators. This is already the third wave. However, I'm afraid the guy's already noticed this. As this thought flashed through his mind, Lu Kuan looked towards the only peak of MT Crimson. That was where the restriction of MT Crimson was controlled. There were several figures standing there. One of them was extremely powerful. He was in the late stage of the nascent soul realm. Lu Kuan's lips curled into a smile. Since the Supreme Profundity Sect had sent out a Grand Cultivator, he had achieved the goal of this trip. This person's spiritual power is lower than Peng Yuan was. It won't be difficult to kill him by force. However, this is Gu Deming's divine transformation realm territory. He might be able to sense the changes in the chi of heaven and earth. I might as well wait for the top-grade spirit stone to appear. When these people are fighting each other, I will find a chance to kill them in one strike. It would be best if I don't activate the chi of heaven and earth. At this moment, Lu Kuan suddenly sent out a message from one of his ribs. His expression became strange as he looked towards the north. You said you sensed the presence of a fellow cultivator? It's one thing for a nascent soul realm cultivator to come, but there's a silver armored corpse and a Shin sect? Yeah, that guy seems to be wrapped in a layer of corpse chi armor. Dozens of miles away, a silver creature was flying in the air. It was covered in dark silver scales. Its face was a bit like an ape's, and it had a mouthful of sharp fangs. There were no eyeballs in its eyes, which were completely blank. However, there was a faint golden spiritual light flashing in its eyes. On the back of this ferocious-looking monster were two silver wings that were 7 to 8 feet long. They emitted a bright silver light. However, its body was wrapped in a layer of blurry light, which seemed to be some kind of illusion technique that concealed its body. As it got closer and closer to MT Crimson, the skin between the monster's eyes began to wrinkle. Its eagle-like hand scratched its head, as if it was confused and doubtful. After a while, it shook its head and sped up. As if it had turned into a breeze, it silently merged into the clouds and restrictions of MT Crimson. On top of MT Crimson stood a sage-like old man. He wore a long blue robe and had a yellow gourd at his waist. He held a formation plate in his hand. There was a blue arrow on it that was trembling slightly, as if it couldn't find its direction. This old man was the third elder of the Xian sect, Taoist Qingyang. Behind him stood 5 people. 2 of them were mid-stage nascent soul realm cultivators, and 3 were early-stage nascent soul realm cultivators. Taoist Qingyang looked down at MT Crimson and sneered. I didn't expect the appearance of the supreme grade spirit stone to attract so many old guys. With this formation plate, made by Uncle Master, other treasure-seeking techniques are not worth mentioning at all. He said lightly, Junior Brother Phone, have you set up the formation plate I gave you before? A mid-stage nascent soul realm cultivator behind him nodded. It's ready. It can be activated at any time. Taoist Qingyang's eyes flashed coldly. When the supreme grade spirit stone appears, immediately activate the formation and catch all the nascent soul realm cultivators here. Yes, Senior Brother. Taoist Qingyang looked at the 2 early-stage nascent soul realm cultivators standing at the back and said slowly, Fellow Taoist Song, Fairy Qin, what do you think of my previous suggestion? The middle-aged man he looked at smiled bitterly. The Green Feather Temple is willing to leave the West Coast Alliance and join the Shin sect. The other good-looking young woman sighed. The Spirit Moon Workshop also agrees to join the Shin sect. I hope Taoist Qingyang can help us more in the future. Taoist Qingyang stroked his beard and said, This is a wise decision. After the official merger, I will apply for 2 green essence pills from the Grand Elder. With these pills and the exquisite secret technique of our sect, you 2 have a chance to enter the mid-stage nascent soul realm. Thank you, Taoist Qingyang. When the 2 heard about the green essence pills, they were pleasantly surprised and quickly thanked him. Taoist Qingyang was quite satisfied with their reaction. He was about to say something when the formation plate in his hand suddenly made a buzzing sound. The swaying green arrow on it pointed southwest. He was delighted. The aura of the supreme grade spirit stone has appeared. Chapter 1128. Wait, something's not right. Taoist Qin Yang stared at the formation plate in his hand and saw that the green arrowhead was abnormally bright. This level of reaction is very likely 2 supreme-grade spirit stones. Junior Brother Phone immediately opened the Chaos Space-breaking array. Yes, Senior Brother. The middle-stage nascent soul cultivator behind him suppressed his excitement and took out a light green formation plate. Several spells were cast into it, and suddenly, dazzling white pillars of light burst out from a dozen directions in MT Crimson. In the depths of the earth veins, streams of extremely pure spiritual energy erupted from these places. The hazy white mist in the mountains immediately condensed and turned into countless finger-thin white threads, densely covering the entire mountain range. At the same time, The figures of many cultivators suddenly appeared in the empty sky. These people were divided into 3 groups, with 2 or 3 people in each group. They were extremely surprised by their own appearance. Not good. This is a trap set by the Xian sect. These people quickly reacted. Their spiritual energy surged, and they fled out of MT Crimson. However, the white mist around them was like countless ropes that wrapped around them layer by layer. The spiritual power on the streak of light couldn't break it, and its speed was greatly reduced. At this time, several figures shot out from the mountain peak in the distance. Their escape light was covered in a layer of strange green and white light, and the mist around them didn't obstruct them at all. Not good. It's Taoist Qin Yang leading the group. 1 great cultivator, 2 middle-stage nascent soul cultivators, and 3 early-stage nascent soul cultivators. Why did the Xian sect send out so many people? What kind of formation is this? It's so difficult to deal with. The 3 groups of cultivators looked anxious. They used all kinds of magic treasures and spells to attack the white threads. They didn't know what kind of magic these threads were, but they were extremely tough. Only a middle-stage nascent soul cultivator's attack could cut them quickly. They still couldn't increase their speed. Although the situation was critical, these people didn't plan to join forces. They weren't on the same side. Even if they wanted to join forces under the home ground of the Xian sect's formation, they could only hold on for a while longer. If they flew separately, their chances of escaping were much higher. Taoist Qin Yang looked at these people's reactions and sneered. His lips moved twice. The 5 people behind him divided into 2 groups, each led by a middle-stage nascent soul cultivator, and flew in 2 directions. Taoist Qin Yang, on the other hand, shone brightly and flew towards the group of 2 men and 1 woman. The expressions of the 3 cultivators changed greatly. They immediately gave up attacking the white thread and combined their escape lights together. A 3-colored spirit light soared into the sky, greatly increasing their speed. However, as they collided with more and more white threads, their speed gradually slowed down. Damn it! This magic array has absorbed some of the world's essence energy. Only grand cultivators would be unaffected by it. Second sister, third brother were still 5 kilometers away from the boundary of the formation. Fight and retreat at the same time. Taoist Qin Yang alone won't be able to defeat us in a short period of time. Okay, big brother. The 3 of them changed their formation, 1 big and 1 small. 2 exquisite blue shields appeared outside their bodies, and the 2 quickly embedded together. With the shields as the core, a thick shield enveloped the 3 of them. The middle-aged man with the highest cultivation shot out a jade talisman, which turned into a blurry yellow mountain illusion. It enveloped the shield, and an incomparably heavy aura spread out. Then he took out a pair of light yellow short knives and led the 3 of them to escape from mountain. At the same time, he bombarded the obstructing white threads. After a while, Taoist Qin Yang had already arrived nearby. Seeing this scene, a mocking smile appeared on his face. He made a hand seal, and the green gourd at his waist fell into his hand. His grand cultivator's surging magic power surged out, and a series of hand seals struck the gourd. The small opening on the gourd opened, and the world's essence energy in the surroundings seemed to be attracted by something. Countless layers of light green halos gathered from all directions and poured into the gourd's opening. In the air nearby, there seemed to be the scent of spring, making people feel intoxicated. The 3 nascent soul stage cultivators' expressions showed a moment of confusion. They felt a sense of nourishment and an endless cycle of life. The middle-aged man shook his head and revealed a terrified expression. Essence energy manifestation, willpower. This is a spirit treasure replica. Second sister, third brother, concentrate and resist with all your strength. The other 2 were awakened by this voice that contained magic power. When they heard the words spirit treasure replica, their expressions changed drastically. Their magic power desperately rushed to the big and small blue shields in front of them. The middle-aged man also didn't care about bombarding the surrounding white threads. He put away the short knife magic weapon. and a dark yellow bracelet appeared in his hand. As his hand seal surged, it turned into the size of 10 feet and surrounded the three of them. The three fooling siblings actually dared to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. Today, I will use your death to deter the rascals. Taoist Qingyang withdrew his hand seal, and the gourd's opening suddenly burst out with a bright light, and a green sword qi blasted out. At the same time, the nourishment of all things in the air became stronger. The green sword qi quickly merged with the surrounding white threads, and its appearance gradually solidified. It looked like a short sword composed of mysterious runes. The middle-aged man felt the suffocating pressure, and the horror in his eyes became more intense. He gritted his teeth and overdrew the power of his nascent soul. His momentum soared. The dark yellow bracelet outside his body became darker, and a new layer of defensive spirit light emerged. Boom! The sword qi in shape of short sword directly bombarded the bracelet in front of the three people. The middle-aged man felt an unparalleled fierce sword qi impact. The sword qi inside seemed to be endless, and in an instant, it seemed to have bombarded dozens of rounds. In less than a breath, the bracelet issued a wail, and the spirit light dissipated. The sword qi only dimmed a little, and the mysterious runes on it were still clear. The middle-aged man seemed to think of something and showed a look of disbelief. Sword qi at the level of Yuan qi manifestation. This is impossible. Supreme Mystery Sect doesn't only have one primordial chaos sword. How can there be a second divine spirit treasure? As he cried out in despair, the sword qi directly exploded, erupting into a dazzling green light ball. There seemed to be countless sword qis stirring crazily inside it. A terrifying pressure of the qi of heaven and earth soared into the sky, and layers of spiritual qi waves surged in all directions. In a moment, the three nascent soul cultivators were blown to dust, and their nascent souls were destroyed in the endless power of the sword qi. Taoist Qingyang held the green gourd with one hand, and a mocking expression appeared on his face. Ignorant people, Mount Crimson is within Martial Uncle's domain, and the surrounding Yuan qi of heaven and earth contains the power of his will. As long as there is a strand of Martial Uncle's true Yuan, even a replica spirit treasure could display the power of a divine spirit treasure. The nascent soul cultivators in the distance were scared out of their wits after feeling the terrifying Yuan qi fluctuations. They used all kinds of methods to escape frantically. But under the suppression of the power of the formation and the Supreme Mystery Sect cultivators, their escape speed was extremely slow. Taoist Qingyang waved his sleeve and put away the scattered magic treasures and storage bracelets in front of him, and coldly looked at the panicked cultivators in the distance. Just as he was about to fly over, his expression suddenly changed, and he turned to look in another direction. On a rock 3 miles away, a blurry silver figure had unknowingly appeared, and several misty threads wrapped around its body. But with a gray spirit light, these white threads were broken inch by inch, and then the spirit light blasted the rock under its feet, and an incomparably pure spirit qi gushed out from the cracks in the ground. Taoist Qingyang's expression changed greatly. Who dares to steal my sect's supreme-grade spirit stones? He changed directions and shot toward the silver figure. Chapter 1129. Taoist Qingyang raised his right hand at the same time, revealing a dark green iron bracelet on his wrist that flashed with light. The mist threads near the silver figure seemed to have received some sort of command and converged, intending to condense the strange figure into a cocoon. The silver figure snorted coldly, and a thick gray whirlwind gushed out from his body. Accompanied by an extremely cold fluctuation, the circle of white threads seemed to have collided with a strong current of air and was blown away. Taoist Qingyang was finally able to clearly see the silver figure's appearance. It was covered in silver scales, and had meter-long fleshy wings. Its dense energy was equivalent to that of a great cultivator. His expression turned unsightly. Zhongming Mountain Corpse Monarch, Silver-Winged Night Fiend. The monster called the Silver-Winged Night Fiend ignored Daoist Qingyang and extended its claw-like hand, sending 2 sparkling stones floating up. Don't even think about it. Daoist Qingyang's hand flickered with a spell seal, and the origin gourd spat out a ball of dark green light that entered the iron bracelet on his wrist. In the distance, a layer of pale green light suddenly appeared on the white threads that had been blown away by the wind, directly turning into pale green sword chi. The Night Fiend was alarmed when he sensed the aura. His expression turned grave, and his fleshy wings opened and closed, wrapping around his body as a gray whirlwind appeared around him. Boom, boom, boom. Like a series of firecrackers, the sword chi infused with the world's origin energy bombarded the scales of the fleshy wings like a storm. The incomparably cold corpse chi collided with the dense sword chi. Waves of invisible chi waves surged in all directions. The 2 sparkling stones that emerged from the cracks in the ground were sent flying by the ferocious chi waves. Daoist Qingyang was several dozen meters away from the Night Fiend when the 2 supreme Great Spirit stones happened to be flying toward him. He was stunned for a moment before revealing a joyful expression. He waved his sleeve and put away the 2 treasures. Roar! With a furious roar, the Night Fiend's fleshy wings opened, sending out dozens of gray wind blades that scattered the remaining sword chi. Then, the monster turned into a gust of wind and disappeared. Daoist Qingyang's expression changed. The bracelet on his wrist trembled slightly. The surrounding white threads gathered and weaved into a white net to protect his body. Then, he threw out the dark green iron ring in his hand, which landed on the mouth of the immemorial gourd. The magic power in his body surged, and the entire gourd glowed with a dark green light. Just as he finished all this, a silver figure appeared not far behind him, and dozens of extremely cold gray wind blades shot towards him. Daoist Qingyang seemed to have expected this. With a change of his hand seal, a large number of white threads around him instantly turned into green sword chi and charged towards the enemy. At this moment, the green sword chi seemed to be much more powerful than before. It had condensed more heaven-earth yuan chi, and the gray wind blade was no match for it. The silver-winged Night Fiend coldly snorted, and a golden luster appeared in his eyes. His surroundings blurred, and the gray wind blade seemed to have never appeared in the first place. The azure sword chi, having lost its opponent, remained motionless in place. Daoist Qingyang narrowed his eyes and poured his spiritual sense into the immemorial gourd. The immemorial gourd was filled with the nourishment of all living things, and the endless power of the will spread out in all directions. Those blurry illusions seemed to have met their natural enemy and shattered like mirrors. More and more threads of mist gathered inwards, and the area around him was densely covered with a circle of sword chi that was suffused with a green halo. After setting up these measures, Daoist Qingyang inwardly let out a sigh of relief. If it weren't for the immemorial gourd and the space-shattering formation, he wouldn't have dared to casually fight such a terrifying monster. The Night Fiend was one of the corpse kings of the Great Zhou's underworld mountain, a mutated grade 10 silver-armored corpse. Its body had been transformed from a cultivator with a wind spirit root, and it was born with the ability to use various wind attribute abilities. It was unknown whether it had devoured a special nascent soul, but after reaching grade 10, it had awakened the Eye of Illusion. This silver-winged Night Fiend was a ferocious existence in the Great Zhou dynasty. It had killed many nascent soul cultivators and even grand cultivators. Daoist Qingyang took a deep breath and said, "Silver-winged Night Fiend, I advise you to quickly leave. Even if you're in the middle underworld mountain, offending my sect won't end well." The Night Fiend's figure appeared 30 meters away, and he spoke in a hoarse voice. "What harm is there in Gu Deming coming to the middle underworld mountain? We Corpse Kings also want to know how much strength a deity transformation cultivator can display in an environment devoid of heaven-earth yuan qi. The Night Fiend looked at the 100 streaks of azure sword qi and said, "Old Taoist Qing Yang, this strange formation is useless. Old Taoist Qing Yang, I can't do anything to you because of your spiritual treasure and this strange formation." However, the other nascent soul cultivators of the Xian sect don't have the same ability. If you know what's good for you, hand over the supreme grade spirit stones, or I'll slaughter them all. Taoist Qin Yang's expression changed. Just as he was about to say something, a miserable cry came from the distance. Taoist Qin Yang and the Night Fiend were stunned and couldn't help but look over. In a distant battlefield, a monster covered in silver scales and with bone spikes on its joints had appeared out of nowhere. Its entire body exuded a dense aura of coldness and death, and its sharp claws were being pulled out from the back of the head of a nascent soul cultivator from the Supreme Profundity sect. The nascent soul in the body seemed to want to fly out, but it seemed to be obstructed by an invisible force. It let out a cry of despair. "Senior Marshal Brother, save me." Then, the monster's other claw grabbed the nascent soul. Graying chi wrapped around the nascent soul and threw it into the monster's fang mouth. The silver monster's aura surged, and it charged toward another mid-nascent soul cultivator. Strangely, the white threads around it dissipated as if an invisible force was destroying it. The two rogue cultivators who were originally besieged were overjoyed when they saw this scene. They activated their escape lights and took the opportunity to flee into the distance. A 9th grade silver armor corpse. The Night Fiend was stunned. No wonder he felt a familiar aura when he arrived at MT Crimson. It turned out that there was a 9th grade silver armored corpse hidden here. Its aura didn't seem like the zombies of the Middle Underworld Mountain. It seemed to be a wild one. Taoist Qin Yang saw this and was furious. The Middle Underworld Mountain came prepared. Silver-winged Night Fiend, do you really think I can't do anything to you? As he spoke, he bit the tip of his tongue and stimulated a drop of blood essence. A large amount of nascent soul power surged out, and the immemorial gourd shone brightly. The immemorial gourd condensed into a small sword and shot out. The Night Fiend's expression changed as the sword of intent hit his body. Large amounts of blood vessels appeared in his empty eyes, and a bloodthirsty intent came out of his body to resist the sword of intent. Taoist Qin Yang continued to cast his spell. The surrounding light blue sword qi mixed with the origin energy of heaven and earth poured into the immemorial gourd. Then, a short blue sword engraved with mysterious runes flew out of the gourd. Light blue halos surged from the surrounding spiritual qi and converged on the sword. The thick halo of vital qi of heaven and earth was like a dazzling tail of flame. The might of this vital qi sword was 30% stronger than before, and the astonishing pressure caused all the cultivators in MT Crimson to feel their hearts palpitate. The scales on the silver-winged Night Fiend's body stood on end. He could smell the scent of death. Although his mouth was powerful, if he were to be struck by this sword qi, he would be severely injured even if he didn't die. He revealed a sinister expression and relied on the bloodthirsty intent in his corpse core to resist the immemorial gourd's intent. The colding energy in his body surged as he turned into a gust of wind and disappeared. Unexpectedly, the extremely solid sword qi seemed to have sensed something, and its speed increased explosively. It actually turned a corner and bombarded an empty space. Boom! An incomparably terrifying yuan qi of the world soared into the sky. An azure halo like a blazing sun enveloped the silver-winged Night Fiend's stumbling figure. Countless sword qi rumbled from within, and layers of spiritual pressure surged in all directions. Taoist Qin Yang didn't stop and continued to channel his spells into the immemorial gourd. The gourd trembled and shot out 2 more blue sword qi. Although they didn't transform into short swords, the power they contained was still terrifying. Carrying a dense halo of origin energy, They continued to bombard the Night Fiend. Taoist Qin Yang's face was pale. Even with his profound cultivation, he felt weak after using several of the immemorial Gourd's abilities. However, it was completely worth it if he could kill the famous Night Fiend. However, at this moment, he suddenly felt a terrifying pressure in the air around him. The remaining white threads around his body were instantly crushed into nothingness, and even his protective spiritual light flickered wildly. At some point, a burly figure wrapped in silver light had appeared behind Taoist Qin Yang. "There's an ambush." Before he could react, the burly figure waved his right hand. There were several silver cone-shaped vortexes on it, and it blasted toward his head at an astonishing speed. "No!" Taoist Qin Yang revealed a terrified expression. He had just unleashed his magic power and couldn't do anything in such a short time. Boom! The claws that exuded a terrifying penetrative power directly shattered his protective spiritual light. Taoist Qin Yang's terrified head cracked open like a watermelon. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.